You were not supposed to still be here. Out of every crowd that has ever gathered around a message like this one, nearly everyone drifts away within minutes, and every pattern of human attention said you would drift away with them. And yet here you are, still listening, and that single fact is the beginning of everything I am about to tell you. Chosen one, before we take one more step together, I want to name something private. Twice already, your hand moved to leave this message. Twice, something in you held still instead. You could not have explained it to anyone. It was not curiosity exactly, and it was not boredom keeping you company. It was a pull, quiet and old, and you know exactly which two moments I mean. I am going to make you a promise now, and I will keep it before this message ends. There is a name for what you are, not chosen one. That is the greeting, not the name. I mean an older name, a specific one, a name that has followed a certain kind of person through every generation since words were first written down. I will not say it yet. The name only belongs to the ones who are still in the room when the room has finished emptying, and the room is not finished emptying yet. Here is what I can tell you now. This message holds 3 gates. They are not tricks, and they are not tests. You can fail by accident. They are the same 3 gates that have always separated the many who hear from the few who receive. Almost everyone who started this message will turn back before the first gate. A smaller number will make it through one and stall at the second. And a number so small it would embarrass the crowd will walk through all 3. By the time you reach the end, 3 things will have happened to you. You will understand why words like these seem to be spoken to thousands and yet land on almost no one, and why that is not an accident, but a design older than you. You will feel a weight you have carried since childhood begin to loosen, a weight you have been calling by the wrong name for years, and you will leave with something to do. One small daily act that keeps the gate open after this message goes quiet. Let me prove the first of those right now, because you have waited long enough in your life for people who promise and never pay. There is a moment you know well. You are in a room full of people who believe, or a gathering, or a conversation where everyone is nodding and words of comfort are being poured out over the whole crowd. Everyone around you seems to drink, and you stand there feeling like the words fell on everyone except you. General blessing, general hope, general love, and somehow none of it finds your address. You have explained that feeling to yourself in the harshest possible ways. You decided you were too analytical, too damaged, too far away for the words to reach. You decided the problem was your heart, that it had grown some skin over it that softer people do not have. I want you to hold still, because that explanation is wrong, and the real one will change how you hear everything. Words that are meant for everyone are addressed to no one. But there is another kind of word, and it has always existed. A word delivered to the many, but addressed to the few. It passes through a crowd the way a name passes through a noisy street. Almost everyone hears a sound. One person turns around. You have spent your whole life turning around, and then feeling foolish for turning, because no one else seemed to hear anything at all. That turning is not damage. That turning is the mark. I will show you the full shape of this before we are done, because there is a mechanism under it, something with edges and structure, something that explains years of your life in one motion. For now, take the relief that is already yours. The reason general words never land on you is that you were built to answer a different kind of address. So here is the first small door I will ask you to walk through, and it is the smallest of the 3. Do nothing dramatic, simply stay. And if you want to mark the moment, go to the comments and write 4 words. I am still here, not for me, for you, and for the handful of others who will scroll past thousands of silences and recognize their own kind by those 4 words. Now let us begin properly, because staying deserves to be paid, and I pay early. You should know what kind of message this is. It is not a lecture, and it is not a warning, and it is not one of those long, soft rivers of encouragement that leave you exactly where they found you. This is a filtering. By the end, it will have quietly sorted everyone who touched it, the way water sorts stones by weight without ever raising its voice. You do not need to do anything to be sorted. Staying is the sorting. And because you stayed this far, you have earned the first real gift, which is recognition. Before I show you the gates themselves, I want to hold up a mirror and describe the person who tends to reach them at all. There are 5 signs. They are not flattering, and they are not vague. And if they are true of you, you will know within a sentence of hearing each one. The first sign is this: you finish things alone that others would not even start. Long books no one around you reads. Long silences no one around you could sit through. Long messages like this one. Somewhere in your childhood, you learned to go far past the point where company runs out, and you thought it made you strange. Every filtered person in every generation has carried exactly that endurance, and almost none of them knew what it was for. The second sign lives in your body. When something true is spoken near you, you feel it physically, a stillness that drops over you like weather changing. Your breathing slows before your mind has agreed with anything. You have felt it in strange places, in the middle of an ordinary sentence, in a stranger kindness, in one line of an old text that everyone else read past. Your body recognizes address before your mind does. It is doing it now, and you know it. The third sign is lonelier. You cannot make yourself belong to crowds, even when you want to. You have tried. You have stood in the middle of groups you genuinely loved and felt a pane of glass between you and the warmth. It never fully closes, that distance. You blamed your personality, but watch what the distance does. It keeps you from dissolving. Sugar dissolves in the crowd. Stone does not. You were never meant to dissolve. The fourth sign is the strangest, and I say it carefully. Timing bends around you. Not always, not on command, but often enough that you stopped telling people. The message that arrives on the exact night you broke. The stranger who says the sentence you had been praying to hear. The door that opens the very week you finally let go of forcing it. You have a private list of these. You have never shown the whole list to anyone because said out loud it sounds like coincidence, and lived from inside. It feels like being tracked by something patient. And the fifth sign is the one that brought you here tonight. You keep being found. Out of oceans of noise, certain words keep locating you, the way this message located you at this hour, in this season of your life, when you had every reason to be somewhere else. The odds of any one person hearing any one message are small. The odds of the right person hearing the right message again and again across years are not odds anymore. That is a pattern. You are inside one. If those 5 signs landed, then what I say next is for you, and I ask you to receive it slowly. Long before this message existed, the one who watches you spoke a kind of word over people like you, and with reverence, I will let that voice speak plainly for a moment, the way a father speaks when the room finally goes quiet. My child, you thought you were being left out, and all along you were being set apart. Those are not the same thing. I never hid from you. I hid you. There is a difference, and the difference is love. What is common is spent in crowds. What is precious is kept in small numbers, counted, watched, and brought out in its hour. Let that settle where it needs to settle. And now let me do what I promised and pay you with understanding. Because comfort without mechanism is just weather, and you have had enough weather. Here is the symptom, said plainly. When a message claims to choose you, something in you flinches. You have seen too much noise dressed up as destiny, and yet you stay. You flinch and you stay, both at once. And afterward, you accuse yourself. You tell yourself that staying proves you are desperate or naive or so lonely you will accept any address with your name on it. That accusation has teeth, and you have let it bite you for years. I want to take that explanation away from you now, because it is false. You do not stay because you are desperate. Desperate people do not flinch. Desperate people swallow everything whole. You examine, you doubt, you test the weight of every word, and then, when something rings true under all that testing, you remain. That is not gullibility. That is the exact opposite of gullibility. And there is a name for what is actually happening to you. There is an ancient pattern, and I call it the emptying room. It works like this. Truth is almost never given to one person in private. It is announced to a crowd on purpose in the open where anyone could take it. And then, instead of guarding the door, truth simply waits. It lets time and attention do the guarding. Minute by minute, the crowd thins. The curious leave first, then the entertained, then the ones who only came to feel something briefly. No one is thrown out. Everyone is offered the whole treasure, and almost everyone walks away from it on their own feet. The room empties itself, and whoever is still standing there at the end was never selected by a doorkeeper. They were revealed by their own remaining. This is how it has always worked. The teacher speaks to 5,000 and eats breakfast with 12. The proclamation goes to a nation and a handful actually turn. The invitation is printed for everyone, and the table is set for few. The crowd calls this unfair. The few know it is the only honest filter that has ever existed, because it cannot be bribed, faked, or inherited. You can only pass it by staying. Now turn that light backward over your own history, because this is where it stops being interesting and starts being surgery. All those years you sat in the back feeling unseen, while general words rained on everyone. All those rooms where you felt the pain of glass. All those seasons you asked why nothing addressed to the crowd ever seemed to include you. You were not being ignored. You were being separated. The distance you hated was the room emptying around you, slowly, over decades. And you mistook the emptying for abandonment. You were never abandoned. You were being left with fewer and fewer wrong doors, until the right one would be unmistakable. Read your loneliness again in that light. It changes the whole book. So here is what I return to your hands tonight, because every truth like this must end with something you can do, or it is just a lovely ache. Today, once, stay through something entirely. One entire message, one entire silence, one entire honest conversation. And while you stay, notice yourself staying. Say inwardly, this is not weakness, this is the mark. You do not need to feel anything special while you do it. The water does not announce which stones are heavy. It just sorts them. And that was the first gate, in case you did not notice yourself walking through it. The flinch was the doorway, and the staying was the passage. If you know that you just passed it, write it under this message in 5 words. I passed the first gate. The few will know exactly what it cost to be able to write that. 2 gates remain, and they go deeper than this one. But before I take you to the second gate, I have to tell you about something else, because it would be dishonest to lead you further without mentioning it. While I was preparing this message, I kept running into a fact I could not leave alone. It has nothing to do with feelings or faith or any of the language we have used so far. It is physical. It is measurable. It is something that has been quietly working against you since you were a child, and it was found not by preachers, but by scientists, in laboratories, with instruments, and the man whose research uncovered its root won the highest prize science can give. I am not going to explain it yet, because you do not yet have the frame to hold it, and a truth handed over too early is a truth wasted. But I want you to keep a small question burning in the back of your mind, as we walk. Ask yourself why staying, remaining, holding still, the very thing this whole message honors, has felt physically harder for you in these last years than it felt when you were 8 years old. Not spiritually harder, physically harder. Hold that question. When I finally answer it, you will understand why I could not answer it here. Now walk with me into the second stretch of this message, where the gates get their names and their histories, because you deserve to know exactly what you are passing through. That first gate, the one you crossed without ceremony a few minutes ago, has a name. I call it the attention gate. It sounds almost too simple to be sacred, and that is precisely its genius. It asks for no belief, no worthiness, no credentials. It asks only this: can you remain present to something longer than the crowd can? The crowd cannot remain present to anything anymore, which means the simplest gate in existence has quietly become the rarest thing to pass. And it is ancient. The oldest teacher of the few told a story about it that almost everyone has heard and almost no one has heard correctly. A sower went out, scattering seed. Some fell on the hard path, and birds took it before it ever touched soil. Some fell on rocky ground, sprang up overnight, and died in the first hot afternoon because it had no root. Some fell among thorns, grew for a while, and was slowly strangled by worry and wealth and noise. And some fell on ground that held it, and that ground gave back 30 and 60 and 100 times what it received. People read that story as a story about seed. It is not. Every seed in it is identical. It is a story about ground, and the teacher himself said what the ground is. The ground is how you hear. Hearing is soil. The same words fall on 1,000 people, and the outcome is decided not by the words, but by what each person has made of their own inner ground. There are hearers who lose the word in the first minute. There are hearers who hold it until the first pressure, and there is a third kind. Remember that phrase. I will come back for it at the very end, because it is walking straight toward the name I promised you. But notice something that should trouble you. That story assumed a person could at least stand still long enough for seed to land. The teacher never imagined ground that runs, and your ground has learned to run. Let me show you what I mean, because this is the second great unlocking of this message, and it touches the exact place you judge yourself most harshly. Here is the symptom. You can pour 3 hours into a glowing screen without noticing your own body and feel no resistance at all. But set before you 10 minutes of stillness with something that actually matters, prayer, a page that could change you, silence itself, and within 90 seconds you twitch. An itch of restlessness rises. Your hand reaches for something, anything, before you have even decided to reach. And every practice you have ever started with fire, you have watched go quiet by the 4th day, not through decision, but through drift. You have a verdict for this, and you have repeated it so often it feels like identity. No discipline, lazy in the deep places, unable to finish what my spirit starts. I am telling you tonight that the verdict is false, and I can prove it with your own evidence. A truly undisciplined person is undisciplined everywhere. You are not. You endure difficult people patiently. You carry burdens for years without dropping them. You finished this far into a long message when almost the entire crowd is gone. Laziness cannot explain a person like that. Something else is eating the seed. Here is the mechanism. Your mind, the ancient survival part of it, treats depth as a threat, not noise, depth. Because depth is where change happens, and to that old machinery, every real change smells like danger. So, the moment you turn toward anything capable of transforming you, the machinery does not argue with you. Arguing would lose. Instead, it offers you a small, harmless, immediate escape. A notification, a snack, a sudden memory of something you should check. The birds on the path are not in the sky anymore. They live in your pocket, and they are trained on your weakest minute. And this is not your private defect. It is the condition of the age. An entire generation of ground is being kept too busy to hold seed, not by wickedness, but by a million engineered interruptions, each one innocent alone and devastating together. The thorns, the teacher named worry, riches, the desires for other things, have simply learned to buzz. Now let the recontextualizing do its work, because this one reaches far back. Every practice you abandoned was not proof of weak character. It was unguarded ground in the age of birds. Every book you meant to finish, every quiet habit that dissolved, every season you drifted from what fed you, read them all again. A farmer whose field is stripped by birds is not a lazy farmer. He is a farmer who was never told about birds. Nobody told you. You spent years sentencing yourself for crop failure when the real story was an unwatched sky. So take back the power, because this beat is not finished until something is in your hands. From today, claim one small plot and guard it. 10 minutes. That is the whole assignment. One plot of stillness, a day where nothing glowing is within reach of your arm. And when the twitch comes, and it will come inside 2 minutes, you do not fight it, you name it. You say inwardly, that is not my boredom, that is the bird, and you let it circle without feeding it. The twitch always passes in under a minute once it is named. Guarded ground changes faster than you would believe, because it was never dead ground. It was only ground that never got to keep anything. You now hold the first gate completely. You know its name, its story, its enemy, and its practice. Most people who ever touch a message like this will live and die without holding even that much. If the weight of that just reached you, mark it in the comments with 4 words, one of the few. Do not write more than that. The ones meant to understand it will understand it. And now the room must empty a little further, because the second gate does not deal with your attention. It deals with your honesty, and it was cut into the side of a hill 3,000 years ago, beside a spring, in the story of a frightened man and an army that was too big. There was a man once threshing wheat in a winepress, which is a strange place to thresh wheat. You do it in the open wind, on a hilltop, where the chaff can blow away. He was doing it in a sunken pit, hidden, because his people were occupied and raided and stripped by an enemy. So vast the story describes them like locusts, without number. And to this hiding man, of all people, a messenger came and spoke one of the most absurd greetings in all of Scripture. The messenger called him Mighty Warrior. His name was Gideon, and he answered the way you would have answered. He argued. He listed his disqualifications. My clan is the weakest, and I am the least in my house. Hold that detail, because it matters for everything this message is about. The pattern we are tracing does not go looking for the loudest person in the crowd. It goes looking for the one hiding in the winepress, the one who is sure the address must be a mistake. If you have ever felt certain that a calling reached the wrong person when it reached you, you are not disqualified from this story. You are in it. What happened next is the reason his story sits at the center of this message. Gideon blew a trumpet, and 32,000 men gathered to him. An army, at last. And then came the sentence nobody in that camp expected. God looked at 32,000 and said, there are too many. Sit with the strangeness of that. Facing an enemy without number, heaven says the problem is too many soldiers, and the reason given is even stranger. With this many, the people would take the credit themselves. They would say their own hand had saved them. The victory being prepared was of a kind that could only be trusted to a number too small to boast. From the very beginning, the plan was never a crowd. The plan was a filter. So the first announcement rang across the camp. Whoever trembles with fear, whoever is afraid, may turn back and go home. No punishment, no shame recorded, just an open door, and an honest question. And 22,000 men stood up and left. 2 out of every 3. The camp emptied the way every room around truth eventually empties in a single quiet afternoon. That announcement is the second gate of this message. I call it the honesty gate. And before you place yourself among the 10,000 who stayed, look closer, because the gate is more subtle than it seems. The ones who left were not the only fearful ones. Everyone was afraid. An enemy like locusts was camped in the valley. The gate did not separate the brave from the cowardly. It separated the ones who could stand still while holding their fear from the ones whose fear held them. You can pass this gate trembling. In fact, trembling is the only way anyone has ever passed it. And this is where I have to stop telling an old story and start telling yours, because the same gate is standing in your life right now, and you have been failing it in a way nobody ever explained to you. Here is the symptom. When people ask how you are, you say fine, and something in your chest goes slightly heavier the moment the word leaves your mouth. You are the strong one, the one others lean on, the one who prays for everyone and is prayed for by no one. And late at night, alone, the weight of everything you have not said sits on your ribs like a stone you cannot name. You call this strength. You call it not burdening people. You have worn it so long it feels like your face. And the explanation you carry is this: if I let anyone see the fear, everything collapses. People need me solid. Even God, you quietly suspect, prefers you composed, grateful, holding it together. So you bring your polished half to prayer and leave the shaking half in the car. Tonight that explanation ends, because it has the mechanism exactly backward. Here is what is actually true, and every honest tradition of the soul has known it. A fear that is spoken weighs 1 life. A fear that is hidden weighs 2, because you carry the fear and you also carry the labor of hiding it. Unwitnessed weight doubles. That is the pattern. The strong face is not protecting you from the load. The strong face is the second load. And the door out has never been strength. The door out is confession, which does not mean announcing your terror to the world. It means letting it be witnessed by one, fully, without translation, into something more presentable. Look at what the gate at the camp actually did. It did not ask the fearful to stop being afraid. It asked every man to tell the truth about what he was carrying, publicly, with his feet. And here is the mercy hiding in the verse. The ones who confessed and left were released, but the ones who stayed were not the ones without fear. They were the ones who let the question see them and remained anyway. Witnessed fear becomes bearable. Unwitnessed fear becomes a life sentence. 2 out of 3 people never learn the difference. So rewrite your record. All those years of being the composed one were not hypocrisy, and I will not let you call them that. They were a survival posture, learned honestly, probably in childhood, probably in a house where your fear once cost you something. But the posture has expired, and the exhaustion you feel lately is not the fear itself. It is the doubled weight of unwitnessed carrying, and it has been double for so long you think the doubled weight is what life weighs. It is not. Half of your load has always been optional. Tonight, take the action and let it be small and real. Somewhere before you sleep, alone, out loud, in a whisper. If that is all you have, name the one fear you have never said in words. Not around it. Say, I am afraid of this, and say what this is. You do not have to fix it, plan around it, or believe anything special about it. You only have to let it exist, witnessed for 10 seconds. People who finally do this report the same strange result. Nothing about the situation changes that night, and everything about the weight does. That is the second gate, and you now know why most who pass the first will still turn back here. Attention is cheap compared to honesty. If you intend to pass it anyway, trembling and all, I am not going to ask you to type anything this time. Some gates should be passed in silence. But I will ask you one small thing on behalf of the others, and then we walk on. Somewhere out there in the thinning room are the handful of people this message was actually addressed to, and the only way it travels to them is if the few who recognize it lift it. If this has already paid you something real, press the like beneath it once and mean it. Think of it not as approval, but as leaving the gate unlocked for the next hearer of your kind. Now return to the hillside, because 10,000 men are still standing there, and the story is about to do something that offends every instinct of religion, and it is the part that concerns you most directly. God looked at the 10,000 who had passed the honesty gate, every one of them sifted and sincere, and said again, "Still too many." And this time, no announcement was made at all. No question was asked. The second filter was hidden inside an ordinary moment. "Take them down to the water," the instruction said, "and I will sift them for you there." They were marched to a spring, tired and thirsty, and every man did the most natural thing in the world. He drank, and nobody told them they were standing inside the final exam of their lives. Watch how they drank, because everything is in it. 9,700 knelt down, put their faces to the stream, and disappeared into their thirst. 300 crouched, kept their heads up, and lifted water to their mouths with a cupped hand, eyes still on the horizon. Same thirst, same water, two postures. And heaven pointed at the smaller number and said, "By these 300 I will do it." Everyone else could go home. That hidden filter is the third gate of this message. I call it the obedience gate, though the word obedience here does not mean rule-keeping. Look again at what the 300 actually did. They did not refuse to drink. They were human, and thirst is not a sin. They met their need with their watch still running. Head up, eyes out. One hand serving the body, the whole posture serving something beyond the body. The gate was never asking, "Can you go without?" It was asking, "Can you receive without disappearing into receiving?" The 9,700 were not wicked men. They were simply men whose need, the moment it was touched, swallowed them whole. Face down in the stream, the horizon ceased to exist. And almost everything in your life is a stream. Money is a stream. Comfort is a stream. Approval, food, romance, rest, even good things, even blessed things. The question the water asks is never whether you will drink. You will drink. You must. The question is where your eyes are while you do it. Now hear all three gates in a single breath, because together they draw the portrait this whole message has been sketching. The first gate asks, "Can you stay when the crowd leaves?" The second asks, "Can you be honest about your fear and remain?" The third asks, "Can you be met, fed, blessed, satisfied, and still keep watch?" Attention, honesty, watchfulness in the middle of provision. That is the entire filter. That has always been the entire filter. 32,000 touched that story. 300 walked out the far side of it. Not one of the 300 was chosen by a hand pointing at him. Every one of them was revealed by how he already was. If you are still with me, and you are, then something in you already suspects what I am going to say. You did not find this message. It was set out in the open, like seed, like a trumpet call, like a spring of water, and the gates inside it have been quietly doing their ancient work this whole hour. The crowd that began has gone. You remained. If that lands on you with a weight you cannot explain, mark this moment with 4 words in the comments. Still at the water. The few will know. And now I want to give you a word, an actual word from an older tongue, because you have been living a reality your whole life that your language has no name for, and unnamed realities are hard to hold. The old Greek scriptures use a word for people like the ones we have been describing. The word is EKLEKTOS. It is built from two pieces, ek, meaning out of, and legein, meaning to gather or to call. EKLEKTOS means the one called out from among, not called instead of the many. Called out of the middle of the many, the word assumes a crowd. It requires a crowd. You cannot be called out of nothing. Every time that word appears, it is quietly telling you the whole mechanism, a wide call, a general offering, and a few who answer all the way to the end. And the older Hebrew prophets carried a twin idea they called the remnant. When everything was scattered and the story looked finished, there was always a small number left, not leftovers but a seedbed, the handful through whom everything would be rebuilt. Small was never the tragedy in that pattern. Small was the strategy. Fields are not replanted from the whole harvest. They are replanted from the seed jar, and the seed jar is never large. So when the title over this message said that only a few would ever truly see it, understand now what that meant, because it was not a trick and it was not flattery. Thousands of eyes will pass across these words. That is the wide call. But seeing, the way Scripture means seeing, staying, hearing, to the end, letting the gates do their work, that has always belonged to a number so small it sounds like exaggeration when you say it out loud. 3 in a great crowd, a remnant. The called out. You are inside that word right now, proving it letter by letter. There is one more story I owe you before we climb toward the summit of this message, and it answers the question your heart has been circling for years without saying aloud. If being set apart is real, why does it so often feel like being left out even among the faithful? Why do some people seem to be taken further in, while others wait outside? Even among the 12 who stayed when the 5,000 left, there was a smaller room. 3 times the old accounts show it happening. When a dead girl was raised in a quiet house, the teacher took only Peter, James, and John inside. When he climbed the high mountain and stood transfigured in light, with 2 ancient figures beside him and a voice speaking out of the cloud, only Peter, James, and John were there to see it. And on his last night, in the garden of his agony, when he wanted human hearts within reach of his own, he took the same 3 a stone throw further than the rest. 9 other men, faithful men, chosen men, waited at the bottom of that mountain. And Scripture never records the teacher explaining himself to them. Think of how that must have burned. They had left everything too. They had passed gates too. And still there was a further room they were not brought into, and no reason was given. And they had to keep serving beside 3 friends who had seen something they could not talk about. Here is what almost everyone misses. The 3 were not taken further because they were loved more. The record is merciless about their flaws. Peter spoke nonsense on the mountain because he was terrified. All 3 fell asleep in the garden at the exact moment they were needed. They were not the strongest of the 12. They were the ones being prepared for the heaviest assignments, the ones whose futures would require having seen more. Deeper access was not a reward. It was a provisioning. The mountain was not a prize for the 3. It was supplies for what the 3 would have to carry later. And with reverence, I will let the voice that ordered it all say this, the way only a father can. My child, when I take you further in, it is never because you earned a better seat. And when I make you wait below, it is never because I forgot you were there. I portion sight to the weight of the road ahead. If you have seen lonely things, deep things, things you cannot explain to the people beside you, it is because of where I am taking you, not because of what you are worth. The 9 were not less mine than the 3. Breathe that in. The lonelier corridors of your life were not exclusion. They were provisioning. But do not leave this mountain yet, because something happened at the bottom of it, while the 3 were up in the light. Something the 9 did, in their waiting, that you are doing right now in yours. and it is quietly draining more of your life than any enemy ever has. While the three stood inside the cloud, a desperate father dragged his suffering son to the 9 who waited below. They were qualified men. They had been given authority, and they had used it before, and it had worked before. But that afternoon, in front of a gathering crowd and a group of debating scholars, nothing they did worked at all. The boy stayed bound. The crowd grew. The argument grew louder. And when the teacher came down from the mountain, he found his 9 chosen men standing in the middle of a public failure they could not explain. Do you know what it feels like to fail at the exact thing you are supposed to be able to do, while it seems everyone else on the mountain is bathed in light? You know. That is why I am telling you this. And when they got him alone and asked why, his answer was not a rebuke about their worth. He said, "This kind comes out only through prayer." In other words, you tried to do the deep thing with a divided center. Your hands were on the work, but your inner eyes were somewhere else. And where else would their eyes have been? Be honest about what you would have felt at the bottom of that mountain. Why them and not me? What are they seeing up there? What does he know that I do not? The 9 were not short of authority that day. They were short of presence, because a heart that is measuring is a heart that is absent, and absent hearts cannot do present work. Their power had not been revoked. It had been rerouted, siphoned into a comparison running so quietly they would have denied it was running at all. Now bring it home, because this is the 4th great unlocking, and it may be the one your daily life needs most. Here is the symptom. You watch other people receive what you have prayed for, and something in you performs gladness, while something underneath does math. Their marriage, their healing, their breakthrough, their calm faith that seems to get answered by return post. You congratulate with your mouth and audit with your soul. And afterward you notice a specific exhaustion, heavier than work tiredness, and a strange inability to feel your own life, even its good parts, for hours. Your explanation has been the ugliest one available. Envy, a bad heart, proof that beneath the faith you are small. And because you believe that, you have added shame on top of the exhaustion and asked God to forgive a wickedness that was never the real diagnosis. Here is the mechanism, and it is one of the oldest patterns of the inner life. Comparison is not primarily a moral failure, it is a presence failure. A human heart can fully inhabit only one life at a time. Every hour spent watching another lane is an hour your own lane goes unlived, unfelt, and untended. And a life that goes unfelt long enough starts to feel like it belongs to someone else. That numbness you carry is not depression of the spirit, and it is not ingratitude. It is absence accumulating. The thief was never their blessing. The thief was your watching. So let the past be rewritten one more time. The seasons when your prayers felt powerless, like the 9 in the valley, were not seasons when heaven turned away from you. Very often they were seasons when you were not fully behind your own eyes, because part of you was up someone else's lane, measuring, not wicked, absent. And absence is the one thing that honest present prayer reverses within minutes, which is exactly what the teacher told his baffled 9. The agency I hand you is almost embarrassingly simple. This week, when you catch the math starting, do not fight the thought and do not shame yourself for it. Come back behind your own eyes with one sentence. I am here in this life, and this is the lane where my portion grows. Then touch something real in front of you, the table, your own hand, the steering wheel, and let the touch anchor the return. Presence comes back through the body. It always has. Comparison ends not when the other person matters less, but when your own moment becomes solid again. If your chest feels like something was just handed back to you, it was. Write 3 words in the comments and let them be a flag planted in your own lane. Third hearer here. You do not yet fully know what those words mean. By the end of this message, you will Come now, and let me show you where all 4 of these unlockings have been walking. You have passed through an emptying room, a gate of attention, a gate of honesty, a water test of watchfulness, and a valley of comparison. Lift your eyes for a moment and see what kind of person is being described by the sum of all that. Someone who stays, someone who tells the truth about their fear and remains. Someone who can be blessed without going blind. Someone present in their own lane. Scripture has watched that exact person emerge from every crowd in every century and has never once wasted them. So, let me cast the picture forward, because you have earned a look at where this road goes. Imagine yourself 1 year from now, changed in no way the crowd could photograph, and in every way the few would recognize on sight. You sit with a hard letter, an uncertain diagnosis, a silence from someone you love, and instead of scattering, you stay in the room with it. People notice they can breathe around you. They start bringing you the things they cannot say anywhere else, because something in your presence has stopped leaking. Imagine your mornings, 10 guarded minutes that no bird can raid anymore, and out of that small plot, without you forcing anything, decisions start arriving already made. Not louder faith, deeper root. The kind the first hot afternoon cannot kill. And imagine the moment, and it will come, when someone young and frightened and certain they are disqualified stands in front of you hiding in their own winepress, and you recognize them instantly, because recognizing your own kind is what all of this training was quietly for. That is not a fantasy I am selling you. That is the ordinary trajectory of a guarded, honest, watchful, present life. The 300 were not superhuman. They were simply men whose habits had shaped a posture, and when the hour came, the posture was already there. Your hour is also coming. The only question this message cares about is whether the posture will be there to meet it. Before we climb further, I want to slow everything down for a single minute, because the next thing I have to give you should not be received with a racing mind. Right now, wherever you are, let your attention drop out of your thoughts and down into your body. Feel the weight of yourself against whatever is holding you, the chair, the bed, the floor, the seat of the car. Notice your shoulders. They have probably crept upward in the last hour without asking you. Let them down. Feel your next breath arrive without improving it. There, that settled feeling is not laziness. That is ground becoming still enough to receive. And now, into that stillness, let me place the last of the named things I promised in the early part of this message. We have spoken of the room that empties and the 3 gates standing inside it. But there is a 5th thing, and it is not a gate at all. It is what you are becoming as you pass them. I call it the holding ground. Go back to the field one last time. 4 soils, 1 seed. And ask the question nobody asks. What actually made the good ground good? It was not more religious than the path. It was not more talented than the rocky place. Scripture gives no hint that the good soil earned anything. The difference is almost insulting in its plainness. The good ground was broken and deep, that is all. Broken enough for seed to enter instead of bouncing. Deep enough for root to go down before the sun came up hot. Now think about what breaks ground and what deepens it. The plow does, and no field has ever enjoyed the plow. Every hard thing that ever cut through your life, the loss you did not choose, the years that humbled you, the failures that opened you up down the middle, you have carried them as evidence that something is wrong with your field. But shallow, untouched, unbroken ground is exactly the ground the story says cannot hold anything. It was your breaking that gave you depth. It was the plow that made you capable of harvest. The crowd stays hard and smooth. The holding ground has scars in it, and the scars are where the seed goes. So when I say that staying to the end of a message like this marks you, understand the full truth of why unbroken people do not stay. They have no furrow for words like these to fall into. The very history you have spent years wishing away is the reason any of this could enter you at all tonight. Your ground holds because your ground was opened, and it was opened by the seasons you call your worst. If that sentence just landed in one of your scars, plant 3 words under this message: my ground holds. Write it as a fact, not a hope, because tonight it became a fact. There is one more scene from the story of the 300 that I held back, and I held it back for this exact spot, because you are finally ready to see what the few are actually for. When the night of battle came, the 300 were not given swords. Read it again if you have forgotten, because it is one of the strangest armories in Scripture. Each man was handed a trumpet, an empty clay jar, and a torch burning inside the jar where no one could see it. They surrounded the sleeping camp of an enemy without number, and at the signal, every man smashed his jar, and 300 hidden fires blazed out of the darkness at once, and 300 trumpets sounded. And an army that could not be counted collapsed into panic without the remnant swinging a single blade. Hidden fire. That is the final secret of the filtered few. The light was carried concealed inside common clay through the long dark march, and the concealment was not a delay of the plan. It was the plan. If the torches had been waved openly from the first mile, the enemy would have counted 300 lights and laughed. The power was in the gap between how ordinary the jars looked and how much fire came out of them when the hour struck. You have felt like plain clay your whole life. Unremarkable jar, ordinary shelf, nothing about your outside announcing anything. And you have ached at the hiddenness, begged for the season of being overlooked to end, wondered why others get pedestals of marble while you got a wine press and a water test and a long dark march. Now you know. Clay is the disguise of fire. The few are kept ordinary, looking on purpose. Because the shattering hour is real, it comes once to every remnant life, and the whole strategy depends on nobody having counted you as a threat. So do not despise the jar years. The jar years are now. The march through the dark is now. And everything we have done together in this message, the guarding of the plot, the witnessed fear, the lifted eyes at the water, the return to your own lane, all of it has been fuel gathering quietly inside the clay. Which brings me to the edge of the thing I have been holding back since almost the beginning, and I can feel that it is time, because there is a fire inside your jar that you have not been able to reach. You have sensed it your entire adult life, a capacity, a brightness you can remember from far back, from childhood, that used to come so easily it did not even feel special. And somewhere between then and now, the flame did not go out, but something happened to the jar, and the light stopped reaching your hands. I told you it was physical. I told you it was measurable, and that the man who uncovered its root was given the highest honor science can bestow. I told you that staying, remaining, holding still has been getting physically harder for you, and that it was not your fault. Every word of that is about to be paid, but you must hear it the way the few hear things, slowly, with your head up, drinking from a cupped hand. Because what I'm about to describe is the reason the crowd cannot stay in rooms like this one, and the reason you almost could not either. Start with a memory. You are somewhere around 7 or 8 years old. Maybe you are drawing on the back of an envelope. Maybe you are building something out of nothing in the yard. Maybe you are lying on your back watching a ceiling fan and inventing an entire world without trying. And notice what is absent from that scene. Effort is absent. Doubt is absent. There is no gap at all between imagining a thing and being inside it. Ideas arrived like weather, whole, bright, and free. And you assumed it would always be like that, because why would you ever assume anything else? Every person still in this room has a memory like that. And every person still in this room has had the other moment too, the adult moment, sitting in front of a problem, or a blank page, or a prayer, feeling like you are trying to draw water through a kinked hose. The thirst is there, the water is there, something between them is pinched. You can feel the pinch. You have never had a name for it. For a long time I assumed what you probably assume, that this is just aging, just responsibility, just the tax of growing up. Then I came across a body of research that I have not been able to put down since, and I need you to hear it with your head up, because it changes the shape of the whole story. Decades ago, researchers began giving ordinary people a series of tests designed to measure creative genius, the capacity to generate original solutions, to see many answers where others see one. Not trivia, not memory, the living kind of intelligence, the kind that 7-year-old on the floor was swimming in. And when they gave these tests to young children, the results were almost absurd. Nearly all of them, close to every single child in the studies, scored at the level the researchers classified as genius. It was not rare. It was the default setting of the human mind at the beginning. Then they tested the same kind of measure in adults, and the number fell off a cliff so steep it is hard to say out loud. Fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults still scored at that level. Read those two numbers together and refuse to rush past them. Nearly all children, fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults. Whatever happens between childhood and adulthood is not a gentle fading. It is the disappearance of a capacity that almost everyone provably had. And here is the question that should be keeping more people awake. Where did it go? A gift held by nearly every child on Earth does not vanish by coincidence. In 999 out of 1,000 of them, something is happening to it, something systematic. This is where the highest science and the oldest scriptures suddenly begin saying the same thing from two different mountains. A researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry spent years studying the two hemispheres of the human mind, the logical, wording, listing side, and the imagining, connecting, seeing side. His work revealed that these are almost two different ways of being alive, joined by a bridge, and that the miracle of human genius lives not in either side, but in the conversation between them. That discovery was honored with the Nobel Prize, the highest recognition the scientific world can give. Hold your childhood next to that discovery. A child lives with the bridge wide open, logic and wonder, structure and dream, flowing back and forth so fast there is no seam. That is why the 7-year-old you could imagine without effort. Both halves of you were in the same room, talking. And then comes what the modern world does next. Year after year of schooling that rewards only one side, the listing side, the testing side. Then survival, bills, deadlines, screens, fear, and grief. None of these sever the bridge. Understand that clearly, because it is the difference between despair and hope. The connection is not cut, it is dimmed. Traffic across it slows. The imagining side gets quieter and quieter for lack of being asked anything, and after 30 years the silence starts to feel like who you are. Dimmed, not dead. Say those 3 words to yourself and feel how different they are from everything you feared. Now bring back the question I planted an hour ago and let it finally be answered. I asked you why staying, remaining, holding still has felt physically harder these last years than it felt when you were 8. Here is why. Remaining is not an act of willpower. It is an act of wholeness. A mind whose 2 halves are in conversation can rest inside one thing, one silence, one message, one prayer, because the inner world is company enough. A mind running on one strained hemisphere is a mind in famine, and a famished mind grabs at every passing crumb of stimulation. The crowd is not shallow because it is wicked. The crowd is scattered because it is dimmed. Do you see what that means for everything we have walked through tonight? The gates of this message were never merely tests of character. They were tests of wholeness. And you, dimmed as you are, holding a strained connection you never chose, still passed them. You stayed scattered and still stayed, which tells me the fire in your jar must be far larger than even this message assumed. If you feel the truth of that in your chest right now, in that place where the old brightness used to live, then mark it in the comments with 4 words: dimmed but never dead. Because that is the most accurate sentence anyone has ever offered you about what happened to your mind, and the few deserve to see each other say it. But now a harder question rises, and it is the right question, and I want you to feel its weight before I answer it. If nearly every child carries genius, and fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults still holds it, and the dimming is systematic, then someone should be asking on behalf of all of us, who benefits from a world full of dimmed people? And why does nobody teach us this in the very schools where the dimming begins? I am going to answer that question with more care than the loud voices of our time usually manage, because you have been honest with me tonight, and you deserve honesty back. There is no secret committee that met in a dark room and voted to dim the children. If there were, someone would have caught them by now. What actually happened is quieter and, in its own way, worse. 100 separate systems, each one reasonable on its own, each one optimizing for something small, discovered one by one that a dimmed person is easier to serve. Schools found that the listing half of the mind is easier to grade, so they graded it, and only it, for 12 straight years of your most formative traffic across the bridge. Employers found that predictable output is easier to manage than original thought, so predictability got the promotions, and the merchants of the modern feed found the biggest prize of all. A mind cut off from its own deep places gets hungry, and a hungry mind scrolls, and a scrolling mind can be fed forever. Nobody needed to plan your dimming. They only needed to profit from it and never mention it. And while the outer systems were doing that, something inside you was making a decision of its own, and this is the part that will explain a specific guilt you have carried for years, because you remember the moment differently than the researchers describe it. You do not remember your wonder being taken. You remember letting it go, choosing the sensible course, putting away the notebook, the songs, the strange, beautiful plans, and telling yourself it was maturity. You have called that surrender proof that you did not want it enough. You have compared yourself to the rare souls who kept their fire and concluded you were made of cheaper material. Set that down now, because here is what actually happened inside you. The soul does not discard what the world refuses to receive. It banks it. When a child brings wonder into an environment that punishes wonder, laughs at it, grades it, or simply has no time for it, the soul makes a survival calculation older than language. This treasure is not safe here. Bury it in the field until the season changes. And so it goes down, not out. The dreams you dropped were never abandoned. They were deposited. Your soul was not weak that day. It was wise, the way a farmer hiding seed from locusts is wise. Rewrite the guilt then. The year you quit the thing you loved was not a betrayal of your calling. It was your calling going underground to survive a season that would have killed it in the open. And the ache you still feel when you pass a piano, or a blank page, or a certain kind of evening sky, that ache is not grief for something dead. It is the muffled sound of something buried alive and still breathing, knocking on the lid, asking whether the season has changed yet. So do one small thing before this day ends. Go to the field and knock back. Take 5 minutes and do the buried thing badly. Hum the melody wrong. Sketch like a child. Write one paragraph nobody will read. You are not trying to be good at it. You are sending one message down through the soil, and the message is, I know you are there. and the season is changing. What rises when the banked things here, that is not a skill, it is a self. Now stand back with me and look at the whole picture we have uncovered, because you are about to see how the two halves of this entire message lock together. The ancient half and the measured half, the scripture and the science, and the click you are about to feel is the reason I asked you to stay all the way here. All night we have watched rooms empty, the crowd around the sower, the camp of Gideon, the slope below the mountain, the listeners of this message, and I told you the emptying was a filter, and it is. But now put the research beside it and watch a colder truth develop. A person whose inner bridge is dimmed cannot stay in deep rooms even when they want to. Staying requires wholeness, and wholeness is exactly what the age has been quietly draining out of everyone. Which means the modern world is not just failing to help people pass the gates, it is mass-producing people who cannot. Do you feel the size of that? The ancient filter asked. Who will remain? The modern dimming answers in advance. Almost no one, and it answers on behalf of millions who never got to choose. The crowd that scattered away from this message in its first minutes did not scatter because they are shallow souls, unworthy of truth. Most of them are dimmed children in adult bodies, grabbing at crumbs with a famished half a mind, and they will go their whole lives never knowing why nothing deep can hold them. When you see the crowd that way, contempt becomes impossible. Only grief remains, and a strange, fierce gratitude that somehow, against the arithmetic, you kept enough of the bridge alive to still be here. And that gratitude should immediately become a question. Why me? Why did the dimming not finish its work in you the way it finished in 999 others? Look back over your own strange history for the answer, because it is there. Something in you kept sneaking across the bridge at night, the books you could not stop reading, the long walks that made no sense to anyone, the praying past the point where words ran out, the staying in rooms like this one. You have been guarding a plot of your own ground for years without knowing it was a rescue operation. So the mystery of this message goes one level deeper than I first told you, and I want to reframe everything now with the whole truth. I said there were 3 gates, and there are. I said the room empties by choice, and it does. But underneath the gates, underneath the choosing, there has been a war running the entire time. A war between 2 filters. One filter is ancient and holy, and it thins the crowd to find the faithful. The other is modern and merciless, and it thins the mind to make faithfulness impossible. Every hearer who ever touched this message stood between those 2 filters, and so did you. The holy filter was drawing you inward, gate by gate, the way it drew Gideon and the 303 on the mountain. And the dimming was dragging you outward the whole time, twitch by twitch, crumb by crumb, toward the door. Your presence here at this depth of the message means something staggering. It means that in you, tonight, the old filter beat the new one. That almost never happens anymore. That is what the title of this message was counting when it counted 3. The oldest voice of warning in Scripture said it in 9 words. The thief comes only to steal, to kill, and to lay waste. And for years you have read that verse thinking of money, health, relationships, the outer stealables. But you are holding the research now, so read it again. What was actually taken from you? The capacity that nearly every child measurably has. The bridge between your 2 inner worlds. The ability to stay, to imagine, to create, to remain in deep rooms. The thief of this age did not come for your wallet. He came for the equipment you would need to become everything else. And that is why I refuse to treat what comes later in this message as a small thing, and why I have been preparing you for it this carefully. Because if the theft happened at the level of the mind itself, then somewhere restoration must be possible at the level of the mind itself. Hold that thought exactly where I placed it. Do not run ahead of me. There is one more truth that has to land first, because without it, you would receive what is coming the way the crowd receives things. And I did not walk you through 3 gates to let you drink face down now. Here is that truth. You have been reading your entire life through the wrong ledger. You have a private accounting of yourself, everyone does, a quiet tally of what you are worth, based on what you have produced, finished, built, and become. And by that ledger you have judged yourself a disappointment, because you can feel the size of what is in you, and you can see the size of what has come out of you, and the gap between those 2 numbers has been the ache of your adult life. But now you know about the dimming, so run the audit again with honest arithmetic. Everything you have managed to build, you built across a strained bridge. Every kindness you gave while famished. Every prayer you kept praying, you prayed with half your inner country dark. You have been farming through a drought your whole adult life, and calling the small harvest laziness. Measured against the drought, your small harvest is not shameful, it is astonishing. It is the clearest evidence in this entire message of how much power is banked in your field. Because if the dimmed version of you did all that, then the restored version of you is someone the world has not met yet. I want you to feel what just happened in your chest as that landed, because that feeling has a long history. It is the feeling of an account being settled in your favor after years of being billed for someone else's theft. The word for it in the old books is not comfort. The word is justice. And there is a verse, one single verse from the prophet Joel, that has been waiting underneath this entire message, the way the torches waited inside the jars, and its time has come. After a plague of locusts had eaten years of harvests down to the root, years, not weeks, the voice of God spoke through Joel, a sentence that should be almost illegal in its boldness. I will restore to you the years the swarming locust has eaten, not the crops. The years, the time itself, the seasons that were consumed while you could do nothing, the harvests that never happened, the versions of you that never got to exist. Restoration at that scale is not repair. It is resurrection applied to a calendar. And notice, because this is the hinge of everything now, who was speaking that sentence? Not the people, begging, God, declaring. Which means restoration of the eaten years is not something you talk God into. It is something already promised that you rise and claim, the way an heir claims what a will already names. There is a posture for begging, and it has its place. This is not that place. This is the place where you stand up inside your own life and say, the locusts were real, the years were real, the theft was real, and the restoration is mine. So do that in the plainest way this moment allows. Say it where only heaven can hear you, or say it in the one place in this room where the few gather. 4 words, written like a legal claim, not a wish. I claim the years. And if you write them, know what you are joining. A remnant has been writing versions of that sentence since the locusts of Joel, and every restoration in the record started with someone deciding the begging season was over. Now I will say the sentence I have been circling for an hour, and I will say it without softening it. What happened to your generation of minds is the great swindle of our lifetime. Not a robbery, a swindle, because robbery is loud and swindles are quiet. And this one was so quiet that the swindled were trained to blame themselves. Millions of people walking around with genius-level equipment dimmed down to a flicker, and every one of them convinced that the flicker is simply who they are. That is the deepest cut of the whole thing, and it is the last lock I have to open before this message can give you what it came to give you. Because the swindle did not stop at taking your capacity, it renamed the theft. It taught you to call the dimming by your own name and to defend the renaming as if it were humility. Listen to how you describe yourself and hear the fraud speaking. I am just not a creative person. I am bad with ideas. I am not smart in that way. My brother got the brains. I am a practical person, that is all. You say these things the way you say your height, as if they were measurements of something fixed. They are not measurements. They are scar tissue that learn to talk. Here is the symptom in its rawest form. Somewhere in you lives a suspicion you have never fully said aloud, that you were meant to be someone specific, someone larger, and that this present half-lit life is a case of mistaken identity you cannot prove. The suspicion embarrasses you. You push it down because it sounds arrogant, and around the crowd you perform contentment with the flicker. But the suspicion does not die. It waits for quiet rooms like this one, and then it knocks. You have explained that knocking as ego, as fantasy, as the refusal to grow up and accept an ordinary life. Deny that explanation tonight, finally and completely. A fantasy does not grieve. Vanity does not ache like that. What you have been calling delusion behaves exactly the way a true memory behaves when the evidence of it has been taken away. Because that is the mechanism, and it is the heaviest one in this entire message. You are not a flicker imagining it used to be a fire. You are a fire that has been persuaded it was always a flicker. The suspicion of largeness is not pride knocking. It is the buried deposit knocking, the banked wonder, the dimmed but living bridge, the child who measured at genius before the systems got to work. Your sense of mistaken identity is not a delusion to be cured. It is the single most accurate perception you have, and the swindle depends entirely on you never trusting it. So take back the record of your whole life one final time, and this time take back the name. You were never lazy, you were dimmed, you were never shallow, you were scattered by famine. You were never ordinary. You were disguised, clay around a torch, a jar in the dark on a long march that was always heading somewhere. Every year the locusts ate is written in the claim you already made tonight, and the suspicion that you were meant to be someone specific. Keep it, feed it. It was the one witness the swindle could never fully silence, and its testimony was true. And now the agency, because even the heaviest truth must end in your hands. Tonight, when you are alone, I want you to formally retire one sentence from your vocabulary. Choose the one you say most. I am not creative. I am not smart like that. Whichever one has run your mouth for decades. Say it once, out loud, and then say after it, that was never my name. That was the name of the theft. You will not feel lightning. You will feel something better. A small, clean click, like a ledger closing. Identities do not change by argument. They change by a person refusing, once, in private, with witnesses in heaven, to answer to the wrong name anymore. From this point forward, this message changes. The diagnosis is complete. You know what the room is, what the gates are, what the ground is, what was stolen, and who you have been all along underneath the theft. What remains is the question the 300 faced on the night the jars broke, the only question left when the filtering is finished. Not, am I chosen? You have settled that with your own staying. The question now is, what has been prepared for the ones who remained? But I hear the three voices rising in you right now, because they rise in every honest person at exactly this altitude, and each of them deserves to be answered before we go higher, not after. The first voice is the skeptic, and I respect it, because it is the same faculty that kept you from swallowing every false address the noise ever mailed you. The skeptic says, this is all very moving, but you have built a beautiful story out of a few studies and some old texts, and beautiful stories are cheap. Good, hold that. Now notice what the skeptic cannot explain away. It cannot explain away the water test of your own attention, which you have failed 1,000 times at things that did not matter, and passed tonight at something that did. The two numbers, nearly every child and fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults, are not my poetry. They sit in published research, and the ache you feel toward your own buried life is data you have been collecting for 30 years. I am not asking the skeptic to leave. I am asking it to do its actual job, which is to follow evidence even when the evidence is hopeful. The second voice is the veteran, the tired one, and it speaks with more right than the skeptic. It says, I have stayed before. I have claimed before. I have stood in rooms like this one, felt exactly this fire, and watched it be ash by Thursday. Why should the remnant math work for me when nothing else has? Veteran, hear me. Every time before, you were handed a feeling and sent home to run it across a dimmed bridge. Fire assigned to famine. Of course, Thursday won. Nothing that happened tonight asked you to trust your feelings. Tonight gave you mechanisms, named gates, a practice small enough to survive your worst week, and, in a few minutes, one thing more. The failure of methods that ignored the bridge is not evidence against the bridge. It is the strongest evidence for it. And the third voice is the quietest and the most dangerous, and it does not argue at all. It just repeats, but you do not know me. If you knew what I have done, what I have wasted, how far down the list of worthy people I actually am, you would aim this message at someone else. To that voice I will say only what the record says. The filter of heaven has a documented taste, a hiding man in a wine press, a denier by a charcoal fire, a persecutor on a road. The remnant is not made of the qualified. It is made of the ones who stayed in the room after their disqualification was read aloud. You are not an exception to the pattern. You are its favorite material. Now lift your head, because you have earned a second look at the far country, and this time I want you to see it with the theft removed. Picture an ordinary Tuesday in the restored life. Not a stage, not a spotlight, a Tuesday. You wake before the noise and the 10-minute plot is simply part of the morning now, like water, like bread. Somewhere in the second minute, the ideas begin arriving, not summoned, just arriving, the way they did when you were 8, and you no longer flinch at them or ask whether you are qualified to have them. You move through the day making things, connecting things, seeing the third option in rooms where everyone else sees two. It is not dramatic. Witnesses would only say you seem very alive lately. They would not know the word for what they are looking at, but you would. Traffic. Traffic on a bridge. The locusts were sure they had closed. And further out, past the Tuesdays, there is the assignment. There always is, for the filtered. Somebody is coming toward your future, hiding in a wine press of their own, and the version of you that meets them must be lit. That is what all of this has been for, not your comfort, your readiness. The 300 were not gathered to feel special. They were gathered because a night was coming that would need exactly 300 lit jars, and heaven refuses to be short-staffed on the night the jars break. Yet before we go to that handing over, I owe you one warning, and it may be the most loving thing I say all night, because every true gift casts a shadow, and the shadow of tonight is a subtle one. There is a counterfeit version of everything we have built in these hours, and it is close enough to the real thing that sincere people wear it for years without checking the label. The counterfeit is called being above the crowd. The real thing is called being for the crowd. They can look identical from the outside for about a month. Here is how you will know the difference in yourself, because you will be tempted, precisely because tonight was real. The counterfeit few look at the scattered ones, the scrollers, the leavers, the face-down drinkers, and feel taller. The true few look at the same people and feel their chests ache, because they remember the glass, they remember the famine, and they know now that most of the crowd is not shallow but starved. The moment you catch yourself using this night as a balcony to look down from, come back and hear this sentence again. The remnant was never the point of the remnant. The harvest was. Remember what the small numbers in the old accounts were always for. 8 souls were kept so that everyone after could exist. 300 were filtered so that a whole terrorized nation could sleep without fear again. The 3 came down from that mountain, and the very first thing at the bottom was a desperate father and a suffering boy, waiting for hands that had seen the light. Not one remnant in the whole record was gathered for its own enjoyment. The few are heaven logistics, the supply line through which the many are eventually reached, and the counted ones are counted the way seed is counted, for sowing, not for shelving. So, when I tell you that you are one of the few, hear it with the weight it actually carries. It is not a velvet rope. It is a draft notice written in kindness. Whatever is handed to the ones who remain, and something is about to be, it comes with the same clause it has always come with. Freely you received, freely you will give. The EKLEKTOS are called out of the crowd, but the calling bends back toward the crowd, every time. Like a river that climbs into the hills only so it can come down carrying water. And if that clause makes you want the gift more rather than less, if being trusted with something meant to travel through you toward others sounds like wealth and not like burden, then you have just passed a gate I never even announced. And you should notice what that means about how far you have come since the winepress. The fearful horde, the dimmed cannot see past their own famine, but you just lean toward assignment with a glad heart, which is the oldest tell of a lit jar. The room has done its work well tonight. Now come, and let me show you what has been prepared for the ones who remained. Before I open the last door of the diagnosis and walk you into what waits behind it, stand still and take stock of where you are, because you have done something tonight that you could not have done a year ago. You have passed through an emptying room and 3 ancient gates, with your fear witnessed, your eyes up, and your own lane solid under your feet. If you want the record to show it, write 4 words below, where the rest of the remnant can find them. I pass the gates. Then stay close, because the next few minutes are the reason this message exists. Here is what I have not told you yet. In every account we opened tonight, the filtering was never the end of the story. It was the doorway to a handing over. The 300 were not just counted, they were equipped that same night with the strangest tools in Scripture. The 3 on the mountain were not just taken up, they were shown something the 9 were not shown. After the gates, there is always a giving, and there is one for you. In the next 2 minutes, I'm going to tell you what the few who remain in this room are being handed, and why the crowd that left will never even hear of it. But first, let me put everything we know into the plainest possible words. No imagery, no old stories, just the facts as they stand, because you should walk through what comes next with completely clear eyes. Here is the why. Your mind works as 2 hemispheres joined by living connections. One side handles logic, language, and lists. The other handles imagination, meaning, and the big picture. Genius, creativity, deep prayer, and the simple ability to remain with one thing all depend on strong traffic between the 2 sides. Modern schooling, chronic stress, and constant digital interruption overwork one side and starve that traffic for decades. That is why focus, freshness of mind, and staying power have declined in you since childhood. It was never a character flaw. It is a use pattern, and it is extremely common. Here is the what. Because the connection is dimmed rather than severed for good, it can be strengthened again. The mind remains changeable throughout life. What it needs is not more effort from the overworked side, but conditions that invite both sides to work together again, regularly, for a sustained stretch of days. Small daily practices like the ones I gave you tonight begin that work. And there is also a more direct and targeted way to support it, developed by a working physician, which I will describe in a moment. And here is the who. This is for the person who has already tried pushing harder, who has shelves of started journals and abandoned methods, who is done blaming their own worth, and who can give a few quiet minutes a day. It is not for people looking for magic without participation, and it is not for the crowd that left in the first 5 minutes. It is for the ones still here. You have been the dimmed one long enough. You do not have to be the dimmed one anymore. So let me tell you about a doctor in New York City, because this is where everything tonight has been walking, and it begins, fittingly, with a man listening to a patient the whole system had given up on. There is a neurologist named Dr. Daniel Barone who practices in New York City, a man who spends his days with the physical mind, its scans and its storms, and who has said that the magic of the human mind never stops surprising him. Years into his practice, he began noticing the same quiet tragedy walking through his door in different bodies, accomplished, kind, hard-working people, describing the same thing in different words. Doctor, the lights feel dimmer than they used to be. I cannot focus like I once did. The ideas do not come anymore. I feel like I am living behind glass. One patient in particular, the story goes, sat across from him after every standard avenue had been walked, tests clean, nothing wrong on paper, and asked him a question that rearranged his career. If nothing is broken, why am I so far from who I used to be? He could have offered the usual shrug of busy medicine. Instead, the question followed him home, because he knew the research we spoke of tonight. He knew what Dr. Roger Sperry had proven about the two hemispheres and the bridge between them, work honored with the Nobel Prize. And he knew that almost nobody was applying it to the one problem nearly every adult reports, the slow dimming of the inner light. So he and the team he works with went looking for a way to invite the two sides of the mind back into conversation, without machines you cannot afford, without years of training, without asking exhausted people for more effort. What they arrived at, after years of refinement, is a method they call neural sync technology, a precisely built listening experience designed to encourage what they call whole brain activation. Both hemispheres drawn into working together again, the old traffic invited back onto the old bridge, and they shaped it into something almost humble. 8 minutes of sound, that is the whole doorway. It is called the genius switch, and I want to be exact about what it is, because you have earned exactness tonight. It is a single targeted auditory sequence, 8 minutes long. You put on headphones, you close your eyes, and you listen once a day. There is nothing to memorize, nothing to chant, nothing to force. It is built to work beneath your effort, beneath your awareness, the way rain works on ground. If you miss a day, nothing collapses. You simply return the next day. It asks less of you than any practice you have ever attempted, which is precisely the point, because your effort was never the missing ingredient, your wholeness was. I want you to hear what happened when ordinary people began walking through that 8-minute door, and I will tell you the way the accounts themselves tell it, plainly, without decoration. There is a woman from California, a nurse, a woman whose whole life was spent pouring out for others while her own inner rooms went dark. She described her days in 3 watras that may bruise you with recognition. Life was happening to me. She had tried the things people try, the calm practices, the positive words, all of it earnest, none of it reaching the place that hurt. Within about 10 days of the 8 minutes, she said something had cleared, and she reached for a picture that belongs in this message, like it was made for it. It felt, she said, as if a channel had been blocked for years and was suddenly open. The invisible stress that had sat on her marriage dissolved so noticeably that her husband asked what had changed. And there is a man from Texas, a business owner with 2 children, carrying a family on his shoulders the way many of you carry yours. His words for the dimming were different. Praying felt like talking into a wall, and the fog had been there so long he had stopped registering it as fog. About 2 weeks in, he said the fog simply was not there one morning. His own description was that his mind felt like it was firing on all engines again, decisions arriving cleanly, patience longer, the wall behind his prayers gone. That is because of what the team Dr. Barone leads spent years building, and neither of those two people is unusual anymore. At the time I am recording this, more than 18,400 everyday Americans have walked through that same 8-minute door. Nurses, drivers, retired teachers, young mothers, men who build things with their hands, not celebrities, not gurus. The exact kind of people this message has been describing all night. Jars of common clay who suspected there was fire inside and finally stopped arguing with the suspicion. And now I have to say the thing that the whole shape of this night has been preparing you to understand. This was never going to be for everyone, and it is not for everyone. The crowd that left this message in minute 2 will never hear these words. That is not cruelty. That is the same arithmetic that has governed everything since the sower opened his hand. What is handed over after the gates belongs to the ones who passed them. The genius switch is not for the many. It was built, whether its builders knew it or not, for the one who stays, the one who tells the truth about the fear and remains, the one who can be blessed with eyes still up, the one still in the room right now hearing me say the words, the one still in the room. If that is you, then what follows is yours to consider, calmly, with your head up, drinking from a cupped hand. Let me tell you plainly what it costs, and let me tell you the story of the number, because the story matters as much as the figure. When the work was finished, colleagues around the team looked at what had been built and talked about its value the way professionals talk. Given what clinical time costs, given what in-home equipment costs, given the years of development, the number spoken was $500, and nobody in those conversations considered that unreasonable. An hour with a specialist in a major city can run $300. Machines that attempt something similar at home run into thousands. But the physician behind this had already made his decision, and it is the decision of a man who remembers why he took his oath. He had not built this for the people who could fly to New York and pay clinical prices. He had built it for the people who never get access to anything, the swindle generation itself. So the official price was set at $49, not $500, $49. And then one step further, and this is the part that concerns you tonight. Through the page connected to this message, in the description below and in the pinned comment, and only through there, the same complete sequence is currently $39. $10 under its own official price. $39 once for something you own permanently, sent to you digitally the moment you claim it. No shipping, no waiting, no subscription breathing down your neck. And they built a small feast around it, 4 gifts that arrive with it at no added cost. A guided visualization from one of the most loved creators of calm listening experiences, walking your imagination through money, love, health, and happiness. The 4 rooms where restoration shows first. A smart grocery guide naming 10 common American foods that feed the fog you have been fighting, plus simple swaps that families report save them $100 or more a month at the stores you already shop in. A classic book on the attracting of provision, more than a century old, the root from which most modern teaching on manifestation quietly grew, yours in full. And a beautifully designed guide to the 5 daily habits that most reliably build an ideal future, made to be printed and placed where your eyes fall every morning. And then, as if to remove the last stone from the road, they wrapped the whole thing in a promise that tells you everything about the confidence behind it. A 100% ironclad money-back guarantee. Not a trial window with fine print teeth. If it does not do for you what I have described, for any reason at all, or for no reason you can even name, you ask, and every cent returns to you. And here is the detail I find almost unheard of. The promise holds, no matter how many times you have listened. You could walk through the 8-minute door 100 mornings and still be made whole on the price, which means the only thing that cannot be returned to you is the not knowing. And after tonight, the not knowing is already gone. I will also tell you the 2 honest cautions, because the few deserve the whole truth and not just the shining parts of it. The first caution is about time. $39 is a kindness of this season and this page, and I am told plainly that the price can and likely will go back up. I will not insult you with a fake clock counting down. There is no clock. There is simply the ordinary truth that doors which open below their worth do not stay that way forever, and that the people who keep circling back later, hoping the terms held, are usually the same people who knelt face down at every stream of their lives. You have practiced a better posture all night. Use it here. The second caution matters more. Because names travel and imitations are cheap, there are recordings floating around the wide world wearing similar labels, on shopping sites, on music services, in the endless bazaars of the feed. His team examined that landscape, and most of what they found carried the label and none of the build. The actual sequence took years to engineer and lives in exactly one place, the official page. And the only trusted road to it from here is the description under this message and the pinned comment at the top of the comments. Not the bazaars, not the imitations. If you go by the road the few were given. That is what the genius switch deserves, and more importantly, it is what your trust deserves. So here is how I will leave this in your hands, because I have watched you pass 3 gates, and I will not dishonor you with pressure at the finish. You have felt everything you have felt tonight. Some of you have felt a quiet leaning, a pull toward that door, the same pull that kept your hand from leaving this message twice in the first minutes. If your spirit is leaning, trust the leaning. It has been right all night. Go to the description or the pinned comment when this message releases you and walk through calmly, eyes up. And if the leaning is not there, then stay with the free practices I have given you. Guard your plot and go in peace, still one of the few, still fully addressed by every other word of this night. One more thing, and I say it because trust is the rarest currency left in this world. This is not an anonymous recording from nowhere. A working physician in New York City put his real name and his real reputation on this work in a profession where reputations are careers. Men like that do not sign their names to smoke. That signature is not proof of what it will do in your one particular life. Nothing is, which is exactly why the guarantee exists. But it is proof of seriousness, and seriousness is what you should demand of anything that asks for a place in your mornings. I can hear the last 3 hesitations, and I will honor each with a straight answer. Briefly, the way you answer family. You say, I have tried things like this before and nothing changed. But look closer at what you tried. You tried methods that handed your exhausted willpower one more job, more focus, more discipline, more belief, all freight sent across the same strained bridge. This asks your willpower for nothing except pressing play. If effort-based methods failing proved anything, it proved the problem was never your effort, which is precisely the case this whole night has made. You say, $39 is real money in a tight month. It is, and I will not pretend otherwise. So weigh it against the other side of the scale, not against coffee. I find that comparison cheap, but against the cost of the dimming itself, the ideas that never arrive, the decisions made in fog, The years the locusts are still eating right now at $0 a day. And remember that the entire weight rests on the guarantee. If it gives you nothing, it costs you nothing. The only bill that keeps arriving forever is the one for leaving things as they are. And you say, I have no time for anything more. Friend, it is 8 minutes, once a day, with your eyes closed. You have spent more than that tonight listening to me describe it. It fits while the coffee brews, while the bath fills, in the parked car before you walk into work. If 8 minutes truly cannot be found, then the thing that needs restoring first is not your mind, but your permission. And perhaps that is the first gift the door will hand you. Now let the matter of doors and dollars rest, because it has been given its honest place and no more. And there are things left tonight that no price could ever touch. We have perhaps a quarter of this message remaining, you and I intend to spend it the way the few spend their best hours, on the soul itself. Come back to the room. Feel how much emptier it is than when we began, and how much warmer. What remains in here now is not an audience, it is a company. The word for what you are part of tonight has no good translation, but you have cousins in every century, and I want to tell you about one of them who is alive right now, because the pattern we have traced is not a museum piece. It happened again, recently, to a woman I will not name. Her crisis came the way they usually come, in a stack. In the same season, she lost the job that held the family budget together, watched a marriage she was sure of turn strange and distant, and sat in a parking lot with a medical letter she could not make herself open. She was a woman of faith the way many of you are, worn faith, faith with mileage on it, faith that had stopped expecting to be surprised. And she told me the thought that circled her in that parking lot, cuck, because it may be circling someone hearing this, she thought. The promises are probably true, but probably not for me. What she did next is the whole reason she belongs in this message. She did not do anything large. There was no dramatic vow, no 7-day fast, no public declaration. She decided, sitting in that car, on one small hidden act of trust, and she repeated it daily like a hinge she oiled every morning. Before checking her phone, before the fear got its first word in, she sat for a few quiet minutes with open hands on the kitchen table and said, I am still in the room. That was the entire practice. Attention, honesty, and open eyes. The 3 gates folded into 4 words and 5 minutes, practiced by a tired woman at a second-hand table. For 3 weeks, by her own account, absolutely nothing happened. And here I will pause on her behalf, because you need to hear that part, and nobody ever includes it. 3 weeks of nothing. The nothing is part of every true account, and it is where the crowd inside us quits. She did not quit. And then the strange season began, the kind you cannot engineer and dare not predict. The letter she finally opened asked only for routine follow-up, and the follow-up cleared. An old colleague she had not spoken with in 6 years called out of the air about a role that had not been posted yet, a role that fit her so precisely it frightened her. And one ordinary Tuesday evening, her husband sat down across from her at that same table, looked at her for a long moment, and said, "Something about you is different lately, and I want to know what it is," which became the first real conversation of their marriage in years, which became, slowly, the marriage itself returning. She will tell you plainly that she cannot prove the connection between the hinge and the harvest, and I honor her for that honesty, and I make you no promise of matching outcomes, because I told you at the start, no fabricated prophecy in this room. But I will tell you what she tells the people she loves. The practice did not change the letters and the phone calls, as far as I can prove. It changed the woman who received them. And a changed receiver, she says, seems to live in a changed world. That is the family you come from. Hidden people, small tables, 4-word prayers, and seasons that turn without announcement. If tonight has made you one of them, or shown you that you always were, write it below in 4 words, as quietly as she said hers. The room kept me. Somewhere in the thin hours of some night ahead, another remnant soul will scroll past 10,000 noises, see those 4 words from you, and stay. And before this message enters its final descent, I owe you a promise kept early. I told you long ago that before the end, I would speak something over your life, directly, by name, the name I have been carrying for you since the first minute. That moment is coming. It is close now, and nothing that has happened tonight, not the gates, not the science, not even the claim, will matter as much as what happens when you receive it. Stay in the room a little longer. The room is almost through emptying, and what remains after the emptying is what everything has been for. I want to stay 1 more minute inside her 3 weeks of nothing, because it is the part of every true story that the tellers rush past. And rushing past, it has wrecked more remnant lives than any enemy ever has. You have lived your own versions of those 3 weeks. The season after the fire, when you did the right small things and the sky stayed shut, and the silence felt like a verdict on your worth. Almost everything precious you ever abandoned, you abandoned in a week like that. So hear what was actually happening at that kitchen table. While nothing was happening, roots were happening. The word she spoke every morning was going somewhere, the way seed in the holding ground goes somewhere in the dark, weeks before the field shows anything. Scripture is almost comically consistent about this gap. The seed sprouts, the man knows not how, night and day, while he sleeps and rises. The gap between planting and appearing is not the absence of the promise. It is the residence of it. Every harvest you have ever eaten spent weeks looking exactly like a failure. The crowd cannot survive that gap, and this, as much as anything tonight, is what thins the room. The crowd needs weekly evidence or it renegotiates. The few learn the family secret, that heaven does its deepest work in the unphotographable weeks, and that the silence after obedience is not the ceiling of an empty sky. It is the hush of a workshop with the door closed. She learned it at a second-hand table. You are learning it tonight, in advance this time, before your next gap arrives, so that when it comes you will stand in the middle of the nothing and say the most defiant sentence the few possess. This is week 2. The account is open. I am not moving. And notice one more thing about her before we walk on, the thing I most want you to steal. She did not measure the practice by the practice. The 5 minutes were never impressive. Some mornings she mumbled it half asleep. The power was not in the polish, it was in the address, that every single morning, before the world got its word in, the first movement of her attention went to the same door. The few are not the talented ones. I hope tonight has buried that idea for good. The few are simply the ones whose first minutes keep pointing at the same door until the door opens. Anyone can do that. Almost no one does. You are about to be one of the almost no one. But first, let me gather everything practical from this long night and press it into a shape you can carry in one hand, because messages that cannot be carried are forgotten by Friday, and you were not filtered out of a crowd to forget. 4 practices. That is the whole toolkit, 1 from each gate and 1 from the field. Hear them once more, small and clear. The first I call the guarded plot. 10 minutes a day where nothing glowing can reach your arm. Stillness with one deep thing. And when the twitch comes, you name the bird and let it circle. This is the attention gate, practiced daily, and it is the soil every other seed tonight needs. Do not upgrade it into an hour. 10 faithful minutes outlast 60 heroic ones. The second is the witnessed fear. Once a day, in private, 1 true sentence about what you are actually carrying, spoken aloud to the one who already saw it. I am afraid of this, and name the this. 10 seconds. It halves the load by ending the second job of hiding, and it keeps the honesty gate oiled on the days when fine tries to grow back over your mouth. The third is the lifted eyes. Whenever provision touches you this week, a meal, a paycheck, a kindness, good news, any stream at all, receive it with a cupped hand. Take 3 seconds, mid-blessing, to look up inwardly or actually, and stay aware of the horizon while you drink. This is the water test carried into ordinary life, and practiced enough, it becomes what it was for the 300, not a test anymore but a nature. And the fourth is the knock on the field. 5 minutes, a few times a week, doing the buried thing badly on purpose. The wrong hum, the childish sketch, the paragraph nobody reads. You are not building skill. You are keeping a promise to something banked, telling it the season is changing until the day it believes you and comes up on its own. That is everything. Soil, truth, eyes, seed, a rule of life, small enough to survive your hardest week, which is the only kind that ever changes anyone. Now, before the descent begins in earnest, 2 small commissions, and I ask them as family, not as a voice from a screen. Somewhere in the middle of this night, a face crossed your mind. It happened to almost everyone still here. Someone you know who is hiding in a wine press of their own, someone dimmed and calling it their personality, someone who stays when everyone leaves and has never once been told what that means. That face crossing your mind was not decoration. In the economy of the few, it was an assignment. Send this to them, today if you can, with 8 words of your own. This found me, and it sounded like you. You may be the only person in their life placed to say it, and you have no idea which night you are interrupting. And if this message has genuinely paid you, if you are leaving this room heavier with treasure and lighter in the chest than you entered, then press the like on your way through and let it stand as your second witness. I ask rarely, and I ask small. The lifting of it costs you 1 second and carries this trumpet 1 valley further toward the scattered others it was addressed to. 1 quiet word more, and only for those who felt the leaning earlier and have been turning it over since. The door I described has not moved. When this message ends, it will still be there in the description and the pinned comment, 8 minutes wide, guarded by the same promise. Do not go in a hurry. Go the way you have learned to go tonight. Head up, at peace, or do not go at all. Either way, the leaning itself already told you something about the season you are entering. Here, the practical part of this message ends. Everything that remains now is between you, me, and the one who has been reading over your shoulder all night. The lights in this room are about to change. If you are somewhere you can be still now. If your hands are full, just soften them. What comes next is not information. There is nothing left to learn tonight. What comes next is the reason you, of all the thousands, were kept in the room to the end. Come with me now into the quietest room of the night, the one below all the others, because before anything can be spoken over your life, something in your life needs to be met. Every filtered person carries one, an inner room where a younger version of themselves is still waiting, still holding the thing that was dimmed, and no restoration is complete until someone goes back down for them. Tonight, that someone is you. Close your eyes if it is safe to close them. Breathe out longer than you breathe in, once, twice. And now see a hallway. It is the hallway of the house of your childhood, or a hallway your heart builds for the occasion. It does not matter which. The light in it is the light of late afternoon, and at the end of the hallway there is a door you have not opened in decades. And you know, the way you know things in true dreams, who is behind it. Open it gently. There, in the middle of an ordinary room, sits the child you were at 7 or 8. The floor around them is covered with the evidence, the drawings, the strange constructions, the notebooks in enormous handwriting, all the bright, unashamed output of a mind whose bridge was wide open. The child looks up at you. They do not see a stranger. Children in these rooms always recognize who has come. And the first thing you notice is what they are holding, cupped in both hands against their chest. A small light, like a coal that thinks it is a star. They have been holding it the whole time. All these years, they never once put it down. Go closer and kneel down to their height. And now, say what you came to say. Say, I am sorry it took me so long. Say, you were never too much, and it was never foolish, and none of it was wasted. Say, they dimmed the house, but you kept the flame, and you kept it for me, and I have come back for it. And watch what the child does. Not accusation, not tears. The child simply smiles, the way children smile when an adult finally states the obvious, and holds the light out to you with both hands, because keeping it for you was the whole assignment, and assignments, as you now know, run in this family. Take it. Feel the weight of it, which is no weight at all, and feel the warmth of it land in your chest, behind the bone, a little left of center, in the exact place that has ached during every beautiful thing you ever watched from behind glass. Let it settle there. It is not arriving, it is returning. And hear the child say the last thing, the thing that undoes you, in a voice with no fear in it at all. I always knew you would come back. Nobody in this room doubted you. Not once, not ever. Stay kneeling one more moment. Let the two of you become what you have always actually been. One person, one story, one field with old seed rising in it. The room begins to fill with that late afternoon light until there is nothing left to see but brightness. And when you open your eyes, you bring all of it with you. The hallway is behind you. The flame is not. The flame is home. And now, with your chest still warm, the father would speak, and what he says is short, because the deepest things always are. My child, I watched them dim the house, and I heard every prayer you prayed in the half-dark, including the ones you were too tired to finish. I did not look away. I was guarding the room where the youngest you kept the flame. I locked that door so the locusts could never enter it, and I have waited for this exact night, for you to walk down and take back what I preserved. What was stolen was years. What was never stolen was you. Now carry the flame up the stairs and live like the house is being relit. Because it is, room by room, beginning tonight. Breathe. Stay soft. Do not rush to the next thing. There is no next thing to rush to. This, right here, was the feeling I promised you in the first minutes of this message, the loosening of the weight you have carried since childhood and could never name. Its name was the unvisited room, and it is unvisited no more. Stay in the after of that for a moment, because something just changed that deserves to be named before we move, and naming it will help you keep it. For most of your life, there has been a specific ache that visited you at beautiful moments. Watching other people be fully alive, hearing certain music, standing in certain kinds of evening light, a homesickness with no address on it. You never told anyone, because what would you even say? That joy hurts in a particular spot. That ache now has a name, and you heard where it lives, behind the bone, a little left of center, in the room where the flame was kept. It was never sadness. It was proximity. Every beautiful thing that ever hurt you was hurting you the way a knock hurts a door. From the inside, the banked life, recognizing its own kind out in the world and pressing against the lid. You were never mourning at those moments. You were being contacted, which means something wonderful and slightly disorienting about the years ahead. The ache will still come, at the music, in the light, watching your children do something unguarded and bright. But it arrives differently now, because the door is open and the flame is home. What used to feel like homesickness will begin to feel like family resemblance. You will stand in the evening light and feel the warmth in your chest lean toward it, one lit thing greeting another, and you may catch yourself smiling at moments that used to quietly wreck you. Do not be alarmed by that. It is what healed feels like. Almost nobody warns people that healed has a feeling, and carry this gently. The visit downstairs is repeatable, not as a ritual you must perform. The reconciliation is done. The child is not waiting in exile anymore. But some seasons will bruise you, and on the night a season bruises you badly enough, you now know the way to the hallway, and the room, and the small stubborn light that thinks it is a star. Some of the best hours of the rest of your life will be spent in that room, and no one around you will ever know where you went. That is the last secret of the inner three. Everyone wondered where they got their steadiness. It came from rooms like yours. Now, before I speak the final words over you, I want to seal what just happened into your body, so that it does not evaporate the way beautiful moments evaporate, so that you can find your way back to it on any ordinary morning without me. What I am about to walk you through takes 2 minutes, and once you have done it with me tonight, it belongs to you for life. This is how the few carry fire through long marches, not by remembering ideas, by anchoring them in the flesh they live in. First, the instruction, and it is simple. Sit the way you would sit if you were about to receive something with both hands. Spine tall but not stiff, shoulders down, jaw soft. Place one hand flat against the center of your chest, over the place where the warmth settled a few minutes ago. You are not performing anything. You are addressing something. Bodies learn through touch what sermons never teach them, and your hand on your own chest is about to become a door you can open anywhere. In traffic, in hospital corridors, in kitchens at midnight. Now, the image, behind your hand, behind the bone, see the flame the child gave back to you, but see it differently now. It is no longer a hidden coal, cupped in small hands. See it set on a small stand, the way a lamp is set on a stand, upright, steady, deliberate, the way the old words said it, that no one lights a lamp to put it under a basket. The basket years are over. The lamp is not hidden in the jar anymore because the jar broke tonight, somewhere around the time you claimed the years. See the light reach the walls of you. See it touch the rooms upstairs that have waited decades for traffic. Both sides of the house, the counting rooms and the dreaming rooms, all of it under one warm light. Then the reframe, and say this part inwardly with me, slowly, as your hand rests there. This light is not something I achieved, it is something I recovered. It was mine from the beginning, it was kept for me through everything, and no school, no season, no swindle, and no scattering ever managed to put it out. I am not building a fire tonight. I am tending one that survived. And tending, unlike building, is gentle work, daily work, small work, exactly the size of work I can do. And last, the anchor. Press your hand very slightly into your chest, just once, the way you would press a seal into warm wax. And as you press, breathe in through the nose, slow and full, and let the breath carry one word down into that place. The word is lit. Just that, lit. Now release the pressure, release the breath, and notice the faint warmth your hand leaves behind when you lower it. That warmth is the handle. From tonight onward, anytime your hand returns to that spot and you breathe that word, the whole architecture returns with it. The room, the child, the flame, the stand, the light on the walls. 2 seconds, anywhere, forever. The body does not forget what has been sealed into it with touch and breath. That is why I had you do it, and not merely hear it. With your own hand, on your own chest, in your own body. Do not be surprised if that spot feels tender in the coming days, tender the way ground feels after long frost gives up. Several times tomorrow, without planning it, you will notice your hand wanting to drift up to your chest. Let it. Each touch is one more lamp lit in one more room of the house. And houses like yours have many rooms, and relighting them all is not the work of one night. It is the work of a season, and the season, as someone told a kitchen table once, is changing. There is one more gift I want to leave in your hands before the blessing, and it is the most ordinary one of the whole night, which, by now, should tell you how much I trust it. I want to walk you through your first 7 days, one day at a time, because the distance between a holy night and a changed life is always the same 7 days, and the crowd loses everything it gathered in exactly that window. You are not the crowd. You will not lose this, but you will keep it the way everything tonight has been kept, on purpose, in smallness, with your eyes up. Day 1 is tomorrow, and tomorrow has exactly one assignment. Wake, and before the phone, before the news, before the fear gets its first word in, sit somewhere for 10 minutes and guard the plot. That is the whole day. Do not attempt the entire toolkit on day 1. That is the rocky ground trick, the overnight sprout that dies by afternoon. One plot, guarded once. And when the twitch comes, and it will come, smile at it like an old acquaintance, name the bird, and stay. If you do nothing else tomorrow, the day is a victory, and I mean that with legal precision. Day 2, keep the plot, and add the witnessed fear, sometime in the evening, alone. One true sentence out loud about what you are actually carrying into this week. 10 seconds of honesty against a lifetime of fine. You will notice, even on the second day, that the sentence comes out easier than it did tonight. That is not your imagination. Confession is a hinge, and hinges loosen with use. Day 3, keep both, and practice the lifted eyes. Once, one stream, met with a cupped hand. It might be your lunch. It might be a kind word from someone who does not usually give them. 3 seconds of horizon while you drink. You are teaching your nervous system a posture it has not held since childhood, and nervous systems learn postures the way they learned bicycles, wobbling first, then suddenly forever. Day 4. I want to warn you about day 4, because day 4 is where the crowd inside you makes its counterattack. Around the 4th day, the shine of tonight will be gone, the plot will feel pointless, and a voice will say, "See, nothing is happening. This was another Thursday fire." Expect that voice, the way sailors expect weather. It is not a verdict, it is a forecast, and forecasts pass. Do the 10 minutes anyway, badly, distracted, resentful, if necessary. The day 4 session done badly is worth more than every inspired session of the first 3 days combined, because it is the first one that proves you are no longer governed by shine. Day 5, keep the rhythm and knock on the field. 5 minutes of the buried thing, done wrong on purpose. Hum it, sketch it, write it, hands in the dirt of your own banked life. Notice what rises while you do it, not skill, but a specific old feeling, faint, like a smell from a childhood kitchen. Do not chase the feeling, just note that it still exists. That note is data of resurrection. Day 6, add nothing. Instead, look back. Take 2 minutes in the evening and simply review, like a farmer walking his fence line, 5 days of small keeping. Somewhere in that review, you will feel a thing the dimmed years never once gave you. The quiet, compound interest of consecutive faithfulness. It will feel small. So does seed corn. Guard it from your own contempt for small numbers, because everything in this message, from 300 soldiers to 3 hearers, has been heaven, arguing one case, that small numbers are where the power is kept. And day 7, rest it all. No plot, no practices, no review, nothing. This is not a day off from the new life. It is part of the new life. The oldest part, the 7th day part. Sleep long if your house allows it. Eat something good slowly. Touch your chest once. Breathe the word. And let the lamp burn unattended, because lamps do not need you to stare at them, and a rest you take on purpose is a declaration that the restoration does not run on your anxiety. It runs on grace, and grace works the 7th day shift. Then, on the morning of day 8, simply begin again at day 1, and let the weeks stack the way the 18,000 let their 8-minute mornings stack, without drama, without scorekeeping, until sometime around the 3rd or 4th week, you catch yourself mid-sentence, mid-decision, mid-laugh, and realize the fog is not where you left it. If you have taken the 8-minute door as well, it will be woven into these same mornings, working beneath all of this the way rain works under a farm. And if you have not, the 7 days stand on their own feet, whole and honest. Nothing tonight was ever rented to you. It was given. Write 2 words below if this walkout plan lands in you like something you will actually do. I remain. Those 2 words are the entire 7 days in miniature, and by now you know they are the rarest sentence in any crowd. Now hear the reassurances, because I refuse to send you out of this room carrying a perfectionism that would undo everything the night has built. There are 3 things that are going to happen in the coming weeks, and I want you to have already heard about all 3 from me tonight, so that when they arrive, they find you unafraid. The first thing that will happen is a dim day, maybe several. A morning when the chest feels ordinary again, when the plot feels like sitting in a chair, when the whole night we have shared seems like something that happened to a more hopeful version of you. Hear me carefully about those days. Dimness returning for a day is weather. It is not architecture. The house does not unrelight itself because clouds cross the sun, and a lamp does not unexist because you briefly forgot the room it was burning in. On dim days, you are not asked to feel anything. You are asked only to touch your chest, breathe the word, and keep the smallest version of the practice. Feelings are gauges, not engines. The engine is the keeping. The second thing that will happen is a missed day. You will oversleep, or a child will be sick, or life will simply eat a Tuesday whole, and the plot will go unguarded, and the practices untouched. And the old voice, the one that has ended every previous season of your growth, will arrive with the verdict it has used on you since school. You broke the streak. It is ruined. You always do this. Tonight I take that gavel out of its hand permanently. In the economy you now belong to, a missed day is a missed day, nothing more. The 8-minute door itself was built with this mercy inside it. Miss a day and simply return the next. And heaven has run on that same mercy since before you were born. Streaks are for the crowd and its score-keeping apps. You are not on a streak. You are in a covenant of returning, and returning is a thing you can always, always do. And the third thing that will happen, quietly, perhaps around the 3rd week, is the strangest one, and almost nobody warns people about it. You will start to feel better, clearer, lighter, and a part of you will panic. It will whisper that this cannot be trusted, that something this good departing is worse than never having it, that you should hold it loosely, brace for the fall, keep one bag packed. That whisper is not wisdom. It is the old survival math of a child who learned that bright things get taken. But you have been down to that room now. You have seen who kept the flame, and you have heard who locked the door. Nothing that was preserved through 40 years of locusts is going to be lost because you finally enjoyed it. You are allowed to trust the light, trusting it is the last gate, and no one can walk you through that one. You walk it by living. So there it is, the whole provision, the plot, the sentence, the cupped hand, the knock on the field, the hand on the chest, and the word lit. 7 days that stack into seasons. Weather that passes, returns that are always allowed, and light you are permitted to trust. No part of it needs me anymore. That is how you know it was a true handing over and not a performance. Performances need the performer to stay on stage. Inheritances go home with the family. And now the room is nearly as empty as it is going to get, and as full. The crowd is long gone. The gates stand open behind you, all 3 past. The claim has been spoken, the child has been visited, the lamp is on its stand. 2 things remain, the 2 I have owed you longest, the words spoken over your life and the name. But a blessing lands deepest on a person who knows their family. And before I bless you, I want to show you yours. You come from a very particular line, and you have never once seen it laid out in one view. Look at this. When the whole world drowned in its own violence, the record says the ark carried 8 souls, 8 out of everyone alive. And out of those 8 came everyone who has ever lived since, which means every nation on earth is downstream of one filtered handful. Remember that arithmetic. It is the founding arithmetic of your family. The many were the past, the few were the future, every single time. Centuries later, a prophet stood in a raised and exiled nation and used the picture your family has used ever since. A forest cut down to stumps, everything green taken, and in the stump, still alive under the bark, a holy seed. The remnant, he said, the she-are, the ones left, would take root downward and bear fruit upward. Nations rebuilt from a seed jar, vineyards replanted from cuttings. It has never once worked any other way, and the prophets stopped being surprised by it long before we did. And when the fullness of the story came, the pattern did not loosen, it tightened. 500 saw the risen one with their own eyes, the letters say. 500 eyewitnesses of the single greatest event in human history. And on the morning everything actually began, the morning of wind and fire in an upper room. How many were waiting there? 120. Out of 500 who saw, 120 stayed in the city, stayed in the room, stayed through the days of nothing between the promise and the power. The world was not turned upside down by the 500 who saw. It was turned by the fraction who remained. Seeing has never been the qualification of your family. Staying is. It always was. Noah in the boat, Gideon at the water, the 3 on the mountain, the 120 in the room, the woman at the kitchen table, and now you, tonight, in this one. Do you see it at last, laid out in a single line? You have not been listening to a message these hours. You have been standing in a portrait gallery of your own bloodline, the lineage of the ones left, and every frame on the wall has been asking you the same question. Did you think you wandered in here by accident? There is something the frames all share, and I want you to have it named before the blessing, because it is the family birthmark, and you will need to recognize it in the mirror on hard days. Not one of them knew they were being counted while it was happening. Noah just built through decades of dry sky and laughter. The 300 just drank the way they always drank. The 120 just could not make themselves leave the city. Not one of them experienced anything that felt like being chosen. It felt like stubbornness. It felt like having nowhere else to go. It felt, I suspect, like tonight has felt to you. Ordinary on the outside, oddly unleavable on the inside. That is the birthmark. The few never feel like the few while it counts. They feel like people who stayed one more day. So on the mornings ahead, when you feel nothing special, when the plot is just a chair and the lamp is just a memory, and the enemy of your soul leans in to whisper that surely the chosen feel more chosen than this, you will know the family answer. None of us felt it. All of us stayed. The feeling is the crowd currency. The staying is the bloodline. One frame remains empty on that wall, and it is not yours. Yours was hung tonight. The empty frame belongs to the one who is coming toward you, the winepress hider, the dimmed one wearing your old face, the person whose parking lot night is already on the calendar of the coming year. When you found this message, someone had lifted it toward you with a like, a share, 4 strange words in a comment section. The gallery grows by hands. Your hands now. That is the last reason I asked you to press the like and send this to the face that crossed your mind, and it is why those small acts sit closer to the ancient trumpets than you would believe. Someone in your future is hiding in a winepress. Every practice tonight gave you was secretly also for them, and one day they will thank heaven for the night you stayed. Now the blessing, and receive it the way you have learned to receive tonight, cupped hand, head up, present in your own lane. I am going to speak it over the 4 rooms of your one life, and as each room is named, let your breath go all the way out before the next one begins. Over the room of your provision, hear this. May the years the locusts ate be returned to you in ways your accounting cannot predict and your history cannot explain. May ideas arrive in the morning that carry bread in them. May the work of your hands stop leaking. May the right door learn your name. And may you recognize provision even when it comes dressed as an ordinary Tuesday phone call. You were not built for famine. You were built through it. The building season is what ends now, and the harvest seasons ahead already carry your name. Over the room of your relationships, hear this. May the people at your table feel the change in the room before you say one word about it. The way a husband looked up at a kitchen table and had to ask. May old walls in old bonds go the way the fog went, quietly, unannounced, discovered missing one morning. May you love without auditing, be seen without performing, and may at least one person in the coming year sit across from you and say, something about you is different, and I want to know what it is. And when they ask, may you have the courage to hand them the whole lamp and not a polite fraction of it. Over the room of your body and your mind, hear this. May the bridge between your 2 inner countries carry more traffic every month than the month before. May sleep come easier now that the hiding is over. May the chest that carried doubled weight learn what single weight feels like. And may the tenderness behind your sternum stay tender, because that ache is ground thawing, and thawing ground is the best news a field can get. Dimmed, but never dead, and less dimmed tomorrow than tonight. And over the room of your calling, hear the longest one, because it is the reason the other 3 rooms exist. May you stop auditioning for a part that was cast before you were born. May the assignment find you already practicing, the way the hour found the 300 already holding jars. May you recognize the winepress hider when they cross your path, and may the words you say to them be given in that hour, not rehearsed, the way words have always been given to your family, when the moment came and not 1 minute before. And when your own night of broken jars arrives, the night all of this was provisioning you for, may you be exactly what the pattern has been making you all along. Present, honest, watching, lit, not the loudest in the valley. The one still standing in the room when the room finishes emptying, which is, as you now know, the only qualification your family has ever required. Let me show you that hour, just once, before we seal everything, because you have earned one look through that particular window. It is some years from now. A room you cannot yet picture, a kitchen, a hospital hallway, a small office, a car in the rain. Someone across from you has just run out of ways to hold themselves together, and every practiced comfort in the world would bounce off them like seed off a hard path. And you do not reach for practiced comfort. You feel your own hand drift, without instruction, toward your chest. You breathe one small word, and the whole architecture stands up inside you. The plot, the gates, the water, the flame, and you say something to them so precise, so unreasonably fitted to the inside of their secret, that they look up at you the way you looked up tonight and ask, how could you possibly know that? That moment is already on its way to you. Everything tonight was its rehearsal. When it comes, you will not feel powerful. You will feel like a jar breaking open and light going everywhere. And you will finally understand, in one wordless second, why the message that found you tonight was never allowed to reach the crowd. One last practical mercy before the sealing, because this message will end in a few minutes, and I know from years of nights like this one exactly what the first hour afterward tries to do. The first hour is a pickpocket. It waits just outside rooms like this with noise in both hands, and if it can get your eyes within 60 seconds of the last word, it can lift most of what you were given before you even reach the kitchen. So here is the night watch, and it is almost nothing, which is why it works. When this message ends, do not go straight to the next thing. Take 5 minutes, just 5, in the same seat, with the noise still off. You do not need to review what happened, or make resolutions, or feel anything at all. Just sit inside the after, the way you would stand a moment in the doorway after an important guest has gone, letting the house settle around what was said in it. If a thought from tonight rises on its own during those minutes, let it, unforced. Remembering is how the soul files things under permanent. And tonight, when you lie down, before sleep takes you, put your hand on your chest one time and breathe the word once. That is all. No ceremony. The last thought before sleep gets copied deepest into a person. The builders of habits have always known it, and the old psalmist knew it first, whispering about meditations in the night watches. Let the last thing your mind holds tonight be a lamp on a stand, and let sleep do the rest of the installing. Tomorrow begins day one, and day one already knows what to do. Now look around this room one final time, because you will want to remember it. The emptying room has finished its work. Every gate stands passed behind you. The attention gate, the honesty gate, the obedience gate. 3 thresholds that were never once about worthiness, only about remaining. Under your feet, where hard path used to be, there is broken, deep seed, holding earth, the holding ground, plowed by every season you used to curse. And in your chest on its stand, burning with a steadiness that no longer depends on your mood, the flame a 7-year-old guarded for decades, because nobody in that room ever doubted you were coming back. This is what you are walking out as, not improved, restored, not persuaded, revealed. The message did not make you one of the few tonight. It could never have done that. It only turned the lights on slowly enough for you to recognize what has been true since before you had words for it, that the staying kind, the remaining kind, the third kind, has always had exactly one member in this room, and it was never me. So let us seal it, you and I, and the one who counted you long before I did. Grateful first, because sealing begins with witness. Somewhere tonight, a person with 10,000 easier options stayed in a long, slow, demanding room until the very end, passed 3 ancient gates without applause, spoke a legal claim over stolen years, walked down a hallway 40 years long, and came back up carrying fire. Heaven watched every minute of that. I was only the doorkeeper. And I bear witness now, plainly, so it is on record in your own ears. You did not almost stay. You did not barely qualify. You stayed the way your family stays, completely, to the last word, and it was witnessed. And gratitude does not stop at you. I am grateful tonight for the pattern itself, that it never once depended on crowds, because crowds scatter, and if the plan had needed them, it would have died at its first afternoon. I am grateful that the filter cannot be bought, that no wealth ever purchased a place among the few, and no poverty ever forfeited one, that the water test reads posture and nothing else. And I am grateful for the strangest mercy of all, that the gates were standing open inside an ordinary message, on an ordinary night, in the 1 hour you happened to be too tired to pretend anymore. Heaven has always preferred that hour. It is the hour the honest ones come out. Now comes the release, and I want you to understand what kind before it happens. Some nights call for long lists, naming weight after weight and dropping each one. This is not that night. Tonight, everything you have carried has one root, and roots are not released item by item. They are released once, at the base, with the whole tree. So we will do it once. And I want you to physically prepare for it, because your body has been part of everything tonight, and it will be part of this. Wherever you are, let your hands come open, palms up, on your knees, on the table, in your lap. Open hands cannot grip. That is the whole theology of the posture. Feel first what is actually in your hands after all these years. The verdict of laziness that was never yours. The name of ordinary you answered to for decades. The doubled weight of unwitnessed fear. The audit of other lanes. The guilt of the buried notebook. The suspicion that the address on your life was a clerical error. Feel the whole root system of it. One root, one name. The belief that you were passed over when you were being preserved the entire time. You have carried that root so long that your grip has grown around it. So do not tear it away. Just breathe in, all the way, deeper than comfort. Hold it one heartbeat, and as the breath goes out, slow and complete, say this with me, once, from the floor of yourself. And let the words do, the releasing that 40 years of trying could not do. I release the lie that I was left out, for I was hidden, and I release the years I mourned as wasted, for they were banked, and I release every name the dimming taught me to answer to, for none of them were mine, and I let the whole weight fall from my open hands tonight, because the one who counted 3 in the crowd counted me, and what he counts, he keeps, and what he keeps was never lost. Let the breath finish. Let the hands stay open a moment in the silence after. Do you feel the specific lightness? Not dramatic, just true, like a coat you forgot you were wearing finally coming off in a warm house? That is what it always feels like when a thing leaves that was never yours to carry. The coat does not need a ceremony on its way to the floor. It just needs your permission, and you just gave it. Stay in that lightness while I tell you what happens next, because the ceiling has an order, and the order matters. First came witness, then release. Now, into the space the weight vacated, come the declarations. And I need you to understand what declarations are before you make them, because the crowd uses that word cheaply, and you are done with cheap words. A declaration is not a wish spoken loudly. It is not positive thinking in church clothes. A declaration is what a person says when the evidence has finally been read into the record and the verdict is being announced. Everything tonight was the evidence. The studies, the stories, the gates you passed with your own attention, the claim, the child, the flame. The court of your own life has seen it all now. What follows is simply the reading of the verdict, and verdicts are read standing at full voice of the soul, even when the mouth stays quiet. Ready yourself. This is the peak of the entire night, and you did not come this far to whisper it inwardly with half a heart. Before the verdict is read, 3 short consecrations, because the few have always set things apart on nights like this, and you have 3 things now that deserve setting apart. I consecrate the mornings, the 10-minute plot, and the 8-minute door for those who take it, and the hand on the chest, small keepings, daily keepings. Let the first fruits of every day belong to the deepest part of the day, and let no urgent thing however loudly it knocks, get into the storehouse before the watchman. The mornings are set apart. They are not the crowd property anymore. I consecrate the tongue. The retired sentences stay retired. I am not creative. I am not smart like that. I am just ordinary. Those names answered their last roll call tonight, and in their place, the tongue learns the family dialect, the plain, true sentences. I am afraid of this. I am still in the room. I claim the years. Lit. A consecrated tongue is not a tongue that never doubts. It is a tongue that refuses to notarize the theft, and I consecrate the hiddenness. This is the strange one, so hear it fully. The world will not applaud what began tonight. There will be no announcement, no visible promotion, no crowd turning its head. You will walk out of this room looking exactly as you looked when you entered, clay to every eye that measures. Consecrate that. Agree to it. The concealment is not the delay of your assignment. It is the armor of it. Jars that glow too early get counted by the enemy. Yours will break open on schedule, and the schedule was never yours to keep, only the fire was. And one word of protection spoken over you plainly, because every ceiling in your family line has included one. When the accuser comes back around, and he will, with the old files under his arm, the failures, the wasted seasons, the day fours, he will find the locks changed. Let every argument that rises against what was restored tonight find open hands it cannot fill. Retired names no one answers to, a chest with a lamp in it, and ground too deep to scorch. You are not promised a life without siege. You are promised a room he cannot empty, because the only one who could ever empty this room is you, by leaving. And you have spent one entire night proving to heaven, to the accuser, and finally to yourself, that leaving is the one thing you do not do. That proof stands in the record now, permanent and dated tonight. Now stand, in body if you can, in spirit regardless, because the verdict is ready and it is read standing. Breathe once, all the way down. Hand over the flame if your hand is free. And now, with the full voice of the soul, declare with me, slowly, each line its own breath, each line a stone laid in a wall. No future season gets to take down. I am the one who stayed when the room emptied, and the staying was the sign. I am not the flicker. I am the fire that survived the dimming, and the bridge in me is opening, day by day, morning by morning, and no hour of school and no year of famine gets the final word over equipment my father installed. I am the honest one now. My fear is witnessed, my load is single, my tongue is consecrated, and I will never again carry in secret what heaven offered to hold in the open. I am the watcher at the water. I can be blessed without going blind, fed without forgetting, satisfied without sleeping, and my eyes stay on the horizon even with the cup at my lips. I am ground that holds, plowed by the worst of it, deepened by all of it, and every seed that falls on me from this night forward is going to find out what broken earth was made for. I am an heir of the eaten years, and the claim is filed, and the locusts are on notice, and the restoration is not a hope I am nursing. It is a verdict I am spending. And I am not the crowd. I never was. I am one of the few, one of the counted, one of the kept, and the message that said only 3 would ever truly see it was not exaggerating. It was prophesying, and I am living proof that it told the truth. Let it stand, every line of it. Do not soften a single word after the fact. Do not add a humble disclaimer in the next breath. Do not hand the verdict back. It is read. It is yours. And if one line of it rang louder in you than all the others, That line is your assignment for the year, and you know exactly which one it was. Now, the last act of the few in every generation has always been the same. They mark the moment, small and permanent, like a stone set up by a river crossing. Yours is 4 words, and by now you know them without being told, because everything tonight has been walking toward them. Go below, where the remnant gathers in the one place the crowd never reads, and set your stone among theirs, sealed among the few. Write it as the verdict it is. And when you see the others, the handful of stones with the same 4 words, know each one cost somebody a whole night of staying, and greet your family. And now there is nothing left between you and the seal. Receive it in stillness. What was opened tonight stays open. What was released tonight stays released. What was lit tonight stays lit. In the name of the Father who counts small numbers and keeps them, over the mornings, over the tongue, over the hiddenness, over the flame. It is sealed. Do not go yet. The seal is set. But one promise from the first minutes of this night is still unpaid, and I keep my promises to the ones who stay. I told you there was a name for what you are. Not chosen one, the greeting. The name. I told you it belonged only to the ones still in the room when the room finished emptying. Look around. The emptying is finished. The crowd is a memory. It is just us now. The number the title of this message was never afraid to say out loud. So come close and receive what you stayed for. Remember the field. Remember the teacher himself counting the ways the word is heard. There was the hearer of the path who hears and loses it in the first minute to the birds. There was the hearer of shallow and thorny ground who hears with joy and holds it until pressure or riches or worry chokes it out. 2 kinds, and the whole world is mostly made of them, and heaven holds nothing against them, and the sower goes on sowing over them all in hope. But the teacher named one more, the one who hears the word and holds it fast and bears fruit with patience. The rarest thing in every crowd in every century. You are the 3rd hearer. That is the name. That is what you have been all your life without a word for it. The one who hears and holds, the staying kind, the ground that keeps the seed, the jar that keeps the flame, the one at the water with lifted eyes. The old book wrote it EKLEKTOS, called out from among. Tonight you can write it in 4 plainer words, the one who remained. And now the strange title over this message finally opens all the way, like a door that needed the whole night for its key. Only 3 people will ever see this message. Path, rocky ground, good soil. 3 kinds of people were always going to meet these words. 2 of them, by their own feet, by their own ground, could never stay to see what it truly was. Only the 3rd could ever see it. Only the 3rd is hearing this sentence right now. The title was never a trick. It was a description of you, waiting almost 2 hours for you to earn its meaning. So here is where I leave you, 3rd hearer, at 3 doors. The same 3 your family has always walked out through. The first door is the stone by the river. 4 words in the comments if you have not set them down yet, sealed among the few. So the next remnant soul who wanders through at 3 in the morning knows the room is never really empty. The second door is in the description below and in the pinned comment, quiet, 8 minutes wide, guarded by an iron promise. For those whose leaning has settled into knowing, it will not be shouted about anywhere else. The things given to the few never are. And the third door is the face that crossed your mind tonight. Send this to them. Say, this found me, and it sounded like you. Somewhere down the years, a person you have not met is already downstream of what you do in the next 5 minutes. And then close this message. Keep the night watch and go to sleep with your hand over the lamp. Tomorrow is day 1, and the mornings are consecrated now, and the locusts are on notice. You were one of thousands when this message found you. You are one of the few as it lets you go. Nothing about you changed in these hours, except the lights coming on. But the lights coming on changes everything, and it has. Chosen one, third hearer, keeper of a flame that outlasted the great swindle itself. Only a handful of souls on this whole spinning earth will ever truly see this message. You did not just see it. You stayed inside it to the last word, and by staying, you became what it was about. Go now, lit and counted. The room is yours.